Name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. We are going to be live on the air in seconds, and I'm going to start today talking about Comey and this just insane interview that Comey did on MSNBC. But we got a lot of other things we're going to cover as well because a lot has happened. I mean, this is one of the biggest news days ever. I am at the radio station today, yes.
977-9445. I will give you a price over the phone on new and used tires. Again, my number is 954
Here we go.
977-9445. Thank you.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian.
All righty, welcome everyone. It's Tuesday already, May 20th, 2025. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. Okay, we've got a lot to cover today, and I'm going to start with this interview that Comey gave to Nicole Wallace on MSNBC. Comey is psychotic, as you will hear in this interview. And after I go through that, there's a clip. This is something that I rarely do, but I got to do it today. There is a clip that is from that Kash Patel, Dan Bongino interview that I did not have yesterday morning. And I did, when I was watching the interview over the weekend, I was so outraged and I was griping to my wife about it. I couldn't believe it. I was saying there was something that was said that I missed. And I came across this yesterday, and I'm going to play it for you in just a bit. You will not want to miss this. And by the way, this isn't some tease to get you to hold. There was a guy on the, I don't know if he's on the air anymore. Does anyone remember Todd Schnitt? Todd Schnitt? Last I heard, he was on the air in New York City, but he used to be on in Tampa and Miami. Todd Schnitt. That goes way back. In fact, he was on the air so long ago, Glenn Beck used to fill in for him. They worked at the same local station in Tampa before Glenn Beck went national. And Todd Schnitt, all he did his entire show was tease you about something he was going to get to. And if he got to it, it was the last 60 seconds of the last moments of his show. And I used to hate that. And I don't do anything to tease you to keep listening. I just hope that you do keep listening. You will, right? A lot of times when I bring up things like that, it's me just talking to myself, making a mental note. But this clip of the Kash Patel Bongino interview, I am going to have to play that. And the reason I'm reluctant is because we did the whole show on that yesterday, so I'm certainly not going to do that today. But it has to be shared. So let's get right to the Comey interview. You know, Comey, I've told you guys many times, he is completely psychotic. And he's just insane. There's some people, Governor Newsom's one of these people, you can just see it in their face, how crazy they are. And this guy, what he did last week, he should have been arrested and out on bail at all, if anything, right now, if not still in the lockup, and facing a trial and maybe prison time. But he was hauled in by the Secret Service. He got away. They let him go for whatever reason. You know, we've talked about that a lot on yesterday's program. But he did an interview with Nicole Wallace on MSNBC yesterday, and I hope he told the Secret Service what he told Nicole Wallace happened with the shells, because lying to federal agents is a felony, and there's a lot of people in prison for lying to federal agents. That's one of those perjury traps. You don't have to get Comey in a perjury trap. He's just a psychotic, arrogant liar. You know, and I'll tell you how, you'll hear how nuts he is when we go through this interview. He's out there promoting the book, and he's going to be telling that he could very well have gotten away with a big crime and find himself arrested and in jail, because the cops have got to be ticked off at what he's doing here. And you'll see this. And, you know, there are certain people that are so arrogant and psychotic. We were talking yesterday about P. Diddy. I'm not following this P. Diddy trial. I really don't have any interest in it. I did see a lawyer the other day say he may skate on this. He may walk because so many of these people that are testifying are prostitutes, and they, I don't know. I don't care. But I was talking yesterday, P. Diddy, and I said the same about Harvey Weinstein. And Candace Owens interviewed Harvey Weinstein yesterday. I did catch some of that this morning. Harvey Weinstein and P. Diddy, even if they're not guilty of what they deserve to go to prison for their stupidity. Both of them are billionaires. Comey's a millionaire, but Diddy and Harvey Weinstein are both billionaires. I don't know if Weinstein still is, but he was. And they've got a lot of testimony against Diddy. And Weinstein, he got arrested during all that Me Too, we are women, hear us roar, woke crap. And anyone that had half a brain would go the Roman Polanski route that has that kind of unlimited wealth. If you're a billionaire, even if they take your passport, you've got enough money to bribe your way to a non-extradition country and live out your lives. Like Roman Polanski fled to France. He got out on bail on a statutory rape beef, and he's been living in France since the 70s, Roman Polanski. And a lot of Hollywood A-list stars over the last 50 years have traveled to France to make movies with him because he's considered this great filmmaker, even though he's on the lam for statutory rape. He knew he was going to go to prison. And P. Diddy and Weinstein, so arrogant, so psychotic, they thought they could get away with it. Well, what Comey did's a little different than what they did, a lot different, but crimes nonetheless. And he could be involved in some heavy treason. And I think he is guilty of treason. And he got called in for questioning by the Secret Service. He got away with it, at least it seems that way at this point. And then he goes on MSNBC to talk to Nicole Wallace, and you can tell he is nuts. And Comey first started the shakedown of President Trump. He remember the fake Russian dossier that the British intelligence gave. Now remember how that happened? Christopher Steele got the Hillary Clinton British intelligence dossier, gave it to John McCain. John McCain gave it to Comey. And crazy Comey, I call him J. Edgar Comey a lot, from J. Edgar Hoover, J. Edgar Comey. But I kind of like crazy Comey too. I guess I'll alternate between the two. But Comey, so Hillary commissioned the dossier. British intelligence put it together. Don't buy this crap that Christopher Steele was not with British intelligence still. He probably still is. British intelligence made up this dossier. Christopher Steele got a hold of John McCain, met him in a park in D.C., and gave the dossier to John McCain. John McCain gave it to Comey. And then Comey, when President Trump was president-elect the first time, went to Trump Tower. Remember that? They would have the stationary camera in the lobby in front of the elevator in Trump Tower in New York, and you'd see everybody walk by and walk out. Comey went in with the dossier, threw it down on President Trump's desk, and said, we can either investigate this or it can disappear, which meant if you play ball with us in the deep state, you'll never hear about this again. Trump said, get out of here. You're not going to shake me down. And then next thing you know, we got the Robert Mueller investigation based on this fictitious Russian dossier. So Comey was involved in treason at that point. In fact, that may even be some sort of insurrection. What's the statute of limitations on bribing a president-elect? What is that statute of limitations? And is it also treason? I don't know. So he's a bad guy. He's totally nuts. He's a very bad guy. And you'll hear in this interview, which I'll play after the break. I want to be able to play it uninterrupted, so we'll do it after the break. Also, I came in this morning at the radio station, and one of our listeners, Christy in Kansas, sent me an incredible gift. Christy in Kansas, it is a Trump watch. And it's a pretty cool watch. I'm very excited about this, so it was very nice. Thank you, Christy in Kansas, for the Trump watch. It's a very nice watch. And if you watch me on YouTube, I'll show it to everybody in a little bit. So we'll take our first break. When we get back, I'll share the Nicole Wallace interview with Comey. And you can let me know, is this guy nuts? I think he's completely nuts. My name is Brian Craig. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show. Our number is toll-free, no matter where you're listening, 1-888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. We'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines.
And she put in a nice wrapper, too. So this is the watch box. Very nice box. Very nice box. And a very heavy watch band. It's a heavy watch. And then you can see. Very nice. And you can see the band is very nice. I got to adjust the band. I'm not sure how to adjust the band. It's too big for me. Very nice watch. So thank you so much. And it says on it, it's time to circle back. And it's got the president on there with his sunglasses, 45 and 47 on the sunglasses. Pretty cool, huh? I think it's pretty cool. So thank you to, I want to make sure I get the name right, to Christy in Kansas. Yeah, I don't know how to adjust the band. There's directions there how to do it. So I got to figure out how to do that. Let's see. Yeah, it's a little too big, so I got to figure out how to adjust. I'm sure I'll figure it out because there's directions in here on how to do all that. So thank you very much for the watch.
She loves her MyPillow sheets. Order yours right now at a huge discount. Use our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout at mypillow.com.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world at True Oldies.
All right, welcome back, one and all. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. Isn't that crazy? I know. We'll hit that half-century mark, and then we'll have a party. Now, it is hurricane season, and part of hurricane prep is making sure you have your roof in order. I am like so prepped for hurricanes. I have a generator, a gasoline generator. I have a whole bunch of 5-gallon jugs. I just got something I've never had before. I got a pocket television, a Casio pocket television from 1980 something on eBay for $10, and it works. So I can get the TV weather from my TV. I've got new batteries for my radio that I got. I do all the hurricane prep. And part of that hurricane prep is making sure that any leaks in your roof are repaired. And that's where Tom Laporta comes in from Laporta Roofing. The thing about a roof leak, if you've got a wet spot on your ceiling, you've got a leak in your roof. And from my experience, you got that leak on your ceiling, and it's the size of a coin, a nickel, a quarter. The actual hole is much bigger than you think because it's got to come through everything in the roof. Then you've got your insulation in the attic, and then it's got to go through that. You'd be surprised how big and how much rot there may be in your roof when you just have that wet spot on your ceiling. Call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. He'll take care of it for you. He covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. And he does every type of roof there is. Obviously, residential, commercial, schools, municipal, office buildings, even emergency repairs. Okay, give him a call. This number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, laportaroofing.com. Now, there's a number for the main office at laportaroofing.com, but that's not Tom's cell phone. So write down his cell phone number, guys. You can call or text 954-604-4602. All right, so let's go. So Comey did this interview with Nicole Wallace after he got away with these crimes. And, the thing about Comey, you got to understand, he's a Republican. And Nicole Wallace is a Republican. She used to work with John McCain. So they got the band back together, Comey with his McCain connections again. They're both Republicans, Nicole Wallace and Comey. A lot of people don't know that Comey's a Republican. He is. And, the thing about this, it shows you textbook, Rhino, Republican in name only, or Rat, Republican against Trump. Okay, so let me get to it, and we'll talk about it as we go. This is Comey, Nicole Wallace, yesterday, fresh out of the questioning of the Secret Service.
The political firestorm.
Yeah, for walking on the beach with my wife. So I don't know how we ended up here. It never occurred to me that it was any kind of controversial thing, but...
Oh, he was picked up for walking down the beach with his wife. I hate when that happens. Does that happen to any of you?
That's the time we live in.
So take me back to the walk on the beach.
We were walking on the beach. We went to the beach to prepare for this week, which was the launch of my book, and to think about the book and to prepare to answer questions about it.
What kind of BS is this? So he's walking down the beach with his wife, and they're just walking to think about his book? They're not having a conversation. They're just thinking about his book. Okay, honey, we're going to go for a walk down the beach, and during this walk, we're not going to speak. We're not going to talk to one another. No conversation. Both of us are just going to walk down the beach and think about my book. Oh, my goodness. I hope he told all these lies to the federal agents from the United States Secret Service. And that's felony. It's a felony to lie to federal agents.
But that's the time we live in.
So take me back to the walk on the beach.
We were walking on the beach. We went to the beach to prepare for this week, which was the launch of my book, and to think about the book and to prepare to answer questions about it. And we were walking back towards the road, and we saw in the sand someone had arranged shells with numbers. And Patrice, my wife, said, "Why would someone put an address in the sand?" And I said, "I don't know." And we stood over it, and I said, "I think it's some kind of political message."
Now, if this guy is so full of it, you would think, a former director of the FBI would be a little more sophisticated than to go out and tell lies. So he didn't know what it meant. He never heard 86, never knew. But he knew it was. But he knew it was a political message. Why would that even occur to him?
Back towards the road, and we saw in the sand someone had arranged shells with numbers. And Patrice, my wife, said, "Why would someone put an address in the sand?" And I said, "I don't know." And we stood over it, and I said, "I think it's some kind of political message." And she said, 86, when I was a server, she did a lot of work in restaurants, meant to remove an item from the menu when you ran out of ingredients. And I said, well, to me, as a kid, it always meant to leave a place, to ditch a place. I said, that's...
To leave a place? We're going to 86 this place? That's not ditch. First, Comey's not that much older than me. He's got to... I hope he's older than me, but he's got to be older than me. But not 10 years, maybe. Ditch, from my generation and Comey's generation, was to skip school. You're ditching school. And you didn't 86 a place. You could ditch a place. You could take off and ditch a place, no doubt about it. But I've never heard anyone say, we're going to 86. My friends and I in high school sitting around TGI Fridays, okay, or at an arcade saying, let's 86 this place. People would be like, what? What are you trying to get us around? 86 would mean trash the place, destroy the place. 86 that never meant leave or ditch a place. But, whatever.
86, when I was a server, she did a lot of work in restaurants, meant to remove an item from the menu when you ran out of ingredients. And I said, well, to me, as a kid, it always meant to leave a place, to ditch a place. I said, that's really clever. So then she said, you should take a picture of that. And I did. And I posted it on my Instagram account and thought nothing more of it until I heard through her that people were saying it was some sort of a call for assassination, which is crazy. But I took it down. Even if I think it's crazy, I don't want to be associated with violence of any kind.
And then what happened?
I got a call from the Secret Service that night asking if I would speak to them about it. Of course. I admire the Secret Service. They're pros. I spoke to them on the phone. Then they asked the next day when I got home, would I be willing to come in and meet them in person at the Washington field office, which again, I did, and they were pros again.
Between posting the picture and getting a call from the Secret Service, did you have any sort of gut check of like, well, they've audited me in an extraordinary way. I was under investigation for years after he fired me. Like, you know, did you have any regret about posting the picture?
Well, I regret the distraction and the controversy around it. But again, it's hard to have regret about something that, even in hindsight, looks to me to be totally innocent for the reasons you said. But yeah, I didn't have a gut check. In the Trump era, I've been investigated a lot, audited a lot. And so it's not my first rodeo. I'm in some strange way the relationship he can't get over. Maybe because I've lived a happy, productive life since leaving.
Oh, my God. Yes, his life is so happy. You know, when he was fired by President Trump, it was in a very humiliating way. If you remember, Comey was in California speaking to a group, and while he was speaking to the group, it came out in the news that Comey had been fired. He was on stage speaking and was no longer the director of the FBI, and he didn't know it. And I remember it was a national story. I remember watching on the news, they had a helicopter. You know, in California, I don't know if it was LA, I can't remember where, but they had a local news helicopter that followed Comey's car from wherever he was speaking to the airport, and he had to fly back to Washington. It was humiliating. And because he was no longer the director of the FBI, they took his gun and badge away from him out there in California before he got on that plane. It was humiliating for him, you know. So this whole thing about his full life, you know, Trump is to Comey what Moby Dick was to Captain Ahab. That's exactly it. So then they go back and forth about his good life and everything, and then they play a couple clips from the news for Comey to respond. This was yesterday on MSNBC. Let me see here.
Person with the position of influence that he has, people who take very seriously what a guy of his stature, his experience, and what the propaganda media has built him up to be. I'm very concerned for the president's life. We've already seen assassination attempts. I'm very concerned for his life. And James Comey, in my view, should be held accountable and
now, of course, this is Tulsi
put behind bars for this.
So she's the head, she sits atop all of the intelligence agencies in this country. And I wonder what you thought and what you think people around the world thought when they saw that.
I hope people know enough about that particular person that they understand where it's coming from.
Really? What about Tulsi Gabbard are you referencing, Comey? I'd like to know. If people know about this type of person. What type of person is she? What do you mean by that?
It says something.
A Hawaiian? What does he mean?
More depressing about the leadership of our current administration. And I just shrug because that's ridiculous.
Does it make you scared?
No.
No.
Why?
You're psychotic. Because he's crazy.
Well, it's not my first rodeo. I would hate something like this, or the audit, or all the investigations to happen to someone who doesn't have my experience, because I look at it and I think there's another one of those. But when it's one of the real problems we have in this country right now is the use of the president's power aiming at individuals.
Oh, really? Like when they broke into Trump's home and ransacked it here at Mar-a-Lago? When they arrested Trump multiple times on fake charges? When they did a mugshot of him in Fulton County? Or what about the time that the Never-Trumpers shot him in Butler? But the problem's Trump. The problem's Trump, Comey says. And this goes right back to that he is part of that lawfare committee against President Trump.
who don't have my background or experience, like a Chris Krebs or any others that have been targeted, law firms being targeted. This is a real problem that people should not look past.
Yeah, but shooting Trump, breaking into his home, come on.
Thing to me, and I hope to everybody else, is just a distraction that goes away in a weekend, but there's something much more important going on here.
Yeah, the promotion of your book, right?
The use of power to aim at individuals eroding the rule of law.
Okay, now the reason I played this, the power of individuals eroding the rule of law. Now, I was telling you guys, well, let me take a break. I was reprimanded for not taking my breaks on time the other day, which I understand. That's one of my biggest problems. I don't take my breaks on time, and I'm already 90 seconds late for the break. So let me take the break, and then I'll come back, and we'll finish up with J. Edgar Comey. We'll be right back.
Making morning radio great again. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
It's Scott on the radio, reminding you that your favorite oldies are back on the air right after 10 a.m. this morning on the True Oldies channel.
Now, here's the True Oldies weather forecast.
Something on the roads, all the traffic tip line. Count 250 keyword westbound traffic.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. BBKC is your entertainment destination. Poker, OTV, table games, and exciting events. This Saturday, come out and watch, wager, and win on the second leg of the Triple Crown, the Preakness Stakes. The paddock is the perfect place to catch all the OTV and sports action with over 140 HD TVs, delicious food, full bar, and friendly service. For more info, go to bbkennelclub.com.
Mike, Joe's supposed to come in today. Oh, is it tomorrow?
If you're a homeowner or with a homeowners association and your roof is old or compromised, you need to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. Laporta Roofing has been in the roofing and construction business since 1984, with thousands of roof installations and thousands of satisfied customers. Did you know that in the state of Florida, you can open a roofing company and borrow someone else's license? Tom Laporta is the holder of this roofing and general contractor's licenses. Not like the other companies that borrow other people's licenses. So be sure who you're dealing with. Tom Laporta and his team are honest, knowledgeable, and reliable, and he'll never sell you a roof you don't need. Laporta Roofing carries all insurance, including workers' compensation on all of its employees, not just a waiver like other contractors. Laporta Roofing can handle any type of roofing job too: residential roofing, HOAs, condominiums, and churches. If it's roofing, Laporta Roofing can do it. So call Tom Laporta on his cell phone, 954-604-4602, or connect online at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602. Laporta Roofing, the go-to roofing company you can trust.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig, celebrating 48 years on the air.
All right, we're back. Call us on hold, stand by. I want to finish with this. And there's a reason why I'm playing this Comey bit. I'm going to rewind it just a few seconds so I can explain. Well, I would play it anyway, but other than this one particular thing, because he's crazy. He just got away with something, and he's out there talking like an idiot. But let me rewind it and then play the end of it. Well, the end of what I'm going to play, at least for now.
To someone who doesn't have my experience, because I look at it and I think there's another one of those. But when it's one of the real problems we have in this country right now is the use of the president's power aiming at individuals who don't have my background or experience, like a Chris Krebs or any others that have been targeted, law firms being targeted. This is a real problem that people should not look past. My thing, to me, and I hope to everybody else, is just a distraction that goes away in a weekend, but there's something much more important going on here. The use of power to aim at individuals eroding the rule of law.
Okay, now that's why I played it. He's accusing Trump of lawfare. Okay, what a joke. Remember, rules for radicals. The liberal Bible is rules for radicals. And I remember when Obama first became president, it was the first time I'd heard of rules for radicals, and I went we still had bookstores. That's how long ago Obama was president. We still had physical bookstores. I went to Borders Books in Boca, and they had copies. I bought it. And I read Rules for Radicals. It was been a long time. That was like 17 years ago, 15, 16 years ago. But what I remember most about it in Rules for Radicals, it said, accuse your opponent of doing what you're doing. Right? It's gaslighting. Accuse your opponent of doing what you're doing. Comey's accusing President Trump of doing what they're doing, lawfare. He said targeting an individual. Okay, and misusing the office to do that. And over the weekend, I was talking about something that a lot of you agreed with me on, but a lot of you told me I was nuts, which is fine, it's okay. I've been called worse. But what I theorized, which now has been proven factual by Comey's interview with Nicole Wallace here, is I called it the Comey plot. And I was talking about how Comey may have wanted to get arrested and what effect that would have. Trump has his mandate. The big, beautiful bill is about to pass. We're going to get everything. He's going to end this war in Europe with Russia and Ukraine. It's what's going on is amazing. It's the golden age of America, right? And if Comey would have been arrested, it would have shut the government down. They would accuse Trump. I talked about this on Saturday morning. If you guys don't follow me on YouTube, you should. Brian Craig Show on YouTube. I'm always doing things on YouTube, and I was Saturday morning talking to you all about this on a live stream on YouTube. And what I said is that if Comey had been arrested, that's why I call it the Comey plot, Washington would have shut down, right? The Democrats would have shut down both houses of Congress. The media would call a national crisis. They would have declared it lawfare and everything else. And it was an attempt to shut down the mandate and stop Trump in his tracks. And a lot of it was stupid and short-sighted, and it didn't work, but a lot of it had to do with the fact that USAID got shut down, and, who's going to buy Comey's book? USAID was buying a lot of these Washington people's books that no one cared about. When these political books come out, like somebody asked me the other day, you going to buy Jake Tapper's book? I said, no. I said, whatever is important and it's going to be reported online and in the news, I'll just get it from that. I don't need to buy the book and read that crap. Same thing goes for Comey's book. But USAID would buy these people's books. Now they're not out there to do it. They have to really sell them, which I don't know if they can do. But when Comey just accused Trump of lawfare, that confirms that my theory was very accurate, that it was an attempt to stop the Trump presidency in its tracks. And I had said maybe they made a decision, the president made a decision, because remember, Kristi Noem's in charge of the Secret Service. They're under Homeland Security. Maybe President Trump made the decision not to arrest Comey because of just that. And if that's the case, do you think Trump made the right decision? Trump always makes the right decision. So, of course, I'm going to go along with what the president does. All right. We'll take some of these calls. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631, 888-465-2631, a toll-free call no matter where you're listening. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. Yes, you just made it. Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. So I have a question.
Oh, yes.
Do you believe in the Constitution?
Well, do I believe in it? You mean, yes, it does exist. I've seen it on display at the National Archives. Yes, I do believe the Constitution exists. Do you mean, do I support and uphold the Constitution and believe it should be followed?
Yeah.
Yes.
Then why do you support somebody who said that they don't know if they have to?
Who is not supporting the Constitution?
Well, Trump said he doesn't know if he has to uphold the Constitution.
No, he said he doesn't know if he has to follow and uphold these federal judges who think they're little presidents.
No, you can look at the video.
Well, what is he? What has he done that violates the Constitution?
Mint clause.
Which is what? What is that?
$100 million airplane from Qatar, and then like 5 days later he got a deal with them.
Nothing that you said is true. That all of that about the plane from Qatar is untrue.
I mean, it's being transferred to the government.
Okay, so you do know. You're not stupid or uninformed, you're just a liar.
Of his term, it's being transferred to his library, which
Oftentimes, so you just said that it was not a gift to him. So he did not violate the Constitution because it's not a personal gift.
it is a gift.
No, it's a gift to the United States government. And then it's going to be at the museum. Have you ever been to a museum that has famous artwork?
Yeah.
Okay. Like what is a famous artist that you've seen at a museum? Like in your neighborhood, like in your city, wherever you're at.
What do you call it? Where I'm at?
Well, like have you gone to a museum where you live, like, and there's been a famous piece of art on display in the museum? Okay, what's the name of a famous artist you've seen?
I don't know, it's been a while.
Been a while? Okay, like a dinosaur? No, the dinosaur, that's not artwork. Okay, like I've been to many museums, and here in South Florida, we have some museums. There's a great museum, the Norton Museum in Palm Beach, which is pretty cool. And sometimes they'll have incredible art from world-famous artists that are, part of Western civilization, part of our culture. Like you might go somewhere and see a Picasso or something, like that. I remember I once went to a display. It was Norman Rockwell. They had Norman Rockwell's art. I went a few years ago. They had at the museum in Fort Lauderdale, the Fort Lauderdale Museum of Art here in South Florida, they had the King Tut collection. And when you go to museums and they have the King Tut collection, or they have the Norman Rockwell original artwork, and things like this, there'll be a plaque underneath, and it'll tell you the name of the art, the artist, and then it'll say, oftentimes in parentheses or in small print, on loan from, right? And some, so on loan from another museum and things like this. So the plane from Qatar, which was a deal that was set up by the Biden administration, we found out the other day, not the Trump administration, is a gift to the United States government, which is going to be under the care of the United States Air Force as it's added to the Air Force One fleet. If it is sent to the Trump Library, it's not a personal gift. It's on loan to the Trump Library. Are you familiar with President Ronald Reagan? Do you know who he was?
I'm pretty sure it's being transferred to the...
Well, then, no, you don't know what you're talking about. Have you heard of President Ronald Reagan? You know who Ronald Reagan was? Do you know who Ronald... No, you hold on. I'll let you talk in a minute. You're familiar with Ronald Reagan?
Yeah.
Who was he?
Ain't that the Watergate guy?
Yeah, Ronald Reagan's the Watergate guy. Now that we've established your intelligence. No, that was the Watergate guy was Richard Nixon. Ronald Reagan was the 40th president of the United States who is responsible for the fall of the Soviet Union, okay? If you go to Ronald Reagan's presidential library in California, they have his Air Force One on display. That was not a gift to President Reagan or the Reagan family. It's on loan from the U.S. government to the Reagan Museum. It's not a personal gift.
Well, then why wouldn't it be transferred to any other museum?
It may not even be transferred. He said he would like to. It hasn't been transferred. In fact, they don't even know where that museum's going to be yet. They haven't even built it yet. They haven't started raising money for it yet. This is something that may or may not happen in that we're talking about now. Now, you may not know who Ronald Reagan or Richard Nixon were, but you don't. But you didn't. You did say, you contradicted yourself. You began the call by saying he violated the Constitution. He accepted a gift, but then you said it was a gift from Qatar to the U.S. government. So that's not a personal gift.
It's being transferred to his library.
Yesterday, I watched a video. J.D. Vance had a private meeting with Pope Leo, the new Pope, the American Pope. And in that private meeting, the Pope gave him an incredible gift. It is it's an art book that shows all the beautiful art of the Vatican. And it may be a book that you can buy in the Vatican gift shop. But this book is different. What is different about this book as opposed to if JD bought it in the gift shop?
I don't know.
It's been held by the Pope. And the first American Pope, who is a historical figure on top of being Pope because he's the American Pope, he gave it as a gift to J.D. Vance. Did J.D. Vance violate the Constitution by receiving this valuable gift from Pope Leo over the weekend?
Well, I think the situations differ here. This is a religious leader and not a country who we've had.
No, in fact, he's the head of the Holy See of the Vatican, and the Vatican is a city-state. It is indeed a country. A tiny one, but an independent state. No, it is Vatican City is a country. It is a sovereign nation.
Can I ask one more question?
Oh, this one should be good, yes.
Yeah, so how do you feel about Donald Trump selling Dogecoin? And also, wouldn't that also be using the presidential spot to make more money?
Well, President Trump has his own crypto. Dogecoin is Elon Musk's, thing that he was in a few years ago.
Yeah, I meant the Trump.
So what do I think about President Trump making money? I'm not opposed to people making money, which I imagine is something you don't do, because typically people that have problems with people making money are losers that don't have any money.
Oh, no, I'm fine.
You're fine? Mommy and daddy pay all your bills?
No, I work myself.
Oh, what do you do for a living?
I'm a business owner. I a talent buying company.
A talent buying company? You buy talent?
I pay bands and solo artists to come perform in my city.
Uh-huh.
And I make money off the ticket sales.
You make money off the ticket sales. Well, then you should be a big fan of Donald Trump, because he's about to cut your taxes.
I mean, I like helping people, so I pay my taxes.
You like helping people? So your business, you don't make profit on your business. You just break even. You want to help people. You don't want to make any profit. So you just let the bands keep all the money?
No, I pay my artists well.
Your artist?
Money. Yeah.
Well, but how do you help people?
I pay bands more than what other talent buyers.
Oh, you pay the bands more, and you pay your tax. Well, we all pay our taxes, but when you do your taxes, do you take zero deductions, or do you take deductions? You don't take any deductions on your taxes. You do not take any deductions on your taxes. Nobody believes that. Nobody believes that. You take no deductions on your taxes? Okay, listen, I appreciate the call, all right? But you should read some American history and government books so that you know who and what you're talking about. Take care. Does anyone believe that guy takes 0 deductions on his taxes? And by the way, I could have gotten into the bands and all that and broken that down, but I got like a full board of calls here, and I'm late for the break. But I didn't want to go down that road with him too long. But do you guys think he's a band manager that's managing multiple bands? I don't think so. He's a music band traveling producer. This is another one of those, I call them, it's a new term I coined a few weeks back, cosplay callers. Cosplay callers. Callers who have these fantasy lives and they try to pass it off to me and you and the audience that they have this glamorous life of managing bands. All right, callers on hold. You hang in there. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. We'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane Show.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. This is Donna from Jupiter. I'm calling to share my great experience with Jupiter Joe. My husband and I started listening to you a few years ago, and that's when we learned about Jupiter Joe Thomas. We're seniors with no pension and collect Social Security. All our investments were in stocks and IRAs until we heard about Jupiter.
Yeah, he's supposed to be back regular schedule this week.
So we got in touch with him and he went above and beyond.
Yeah, I wish I would have known. No, it was originally the Tuesdays, and then last week we talked about maybe changing days, and they didn't tell me.
Yeah, I just when I looked at the email, I thought the same. And then
Yeah.
yesterday was last week was a Tuesday. Today's
Okay.
it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Tuesday.
Oh, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter. It's fine.
Yeah. But want me to send you?
No. That's fine. So it's Wednesday next week, Thursday the week after. Or I mean, sorry. Yeah.
Knowledgeable, trustworthy,
Is that what you say?
and you can put total confidence in him. My husband and I can't
Tuesday
say
next
enough
week
good
and
things
Thursday.
about Jupiter Joe
Okay.
and his
So
staff.
Tuesday,
I want to
Wednesday,
thank you for your
Tuesday,
kind
Thursday.
words
They might switch
for
up again
Jupiter
next
Joe Thomas. If you want to call Joe Thomas, I'm going to give you his number. It's a no-charge consultation, which you can take advantage of no matter where you're located. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999.
If you're on hold, hang in there.
And online at jupiterjoe.com.
Do you suffer from neuropathy? I did, until I went to Lighthouse Medical Center in Pompano. Numbness, pain, burning, tingling in my hands and feet, muscle weakness, loss of balance, muscle twitching have all but disappeared. Say goodbye to your neuropathy symptoms. Call Lighthouse Medical Center for a free consultation. 754-222-6642.
When it comes to dental work, there's no one better than Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. But don't just take my word for it. This is Richie the bus driver. He called in on the air to share his experience with Dr. Gupta. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Richie. Dr. Gupta. I go 139 miles to this guy. I had a broken tooth. He fixed it. It was supposed to be temporary. It lasted 2 years. He put dentures in my mouth that are a lot cheaper than anybody else. And he's excellent and no pain. I recommend this guy. To me, he's the best ever. So I want to get that out of the way.
Listen to Richie the bus driver. Go see Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. 954-922-4633. 954-922-4633.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is on.
All righty, welcome back, one and all. Callers on hold, stand by. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian Craig. Now, of course, I want to remind you guys about Mike Lindell and My Pillow. Oh, man. You know, every morning I wake up on a My Pillow mattress. I also have the My Pillow mattress topper because I had the mattress topper with my old mattress before I got the My Pillow mattress, and we just kept it on. My head's on the My Pillows. I'm sleeping under the My Pillow sheets. I get out of bed, I get in the shower, I get out of the shower, I dry off with the My Pillow towel. And you know, I was talking to Mike Lindell once, and I said, you know, I live in a My Pillow household. And he says, what, you know, he's like, what does that mean? And I went through all the stuff I got, and he's like, oh wow, that's yeah, you do. He said, I think you might have more My Pillow products in your house than I have in mine. Well, I don't know about that, but let me tell you something. You know, this great MAGA guy, Mike Lindell, makes incredible products, you know, and everything at mypillow.com is so well made. And some of these products I've had for 10 years or more. I can't tell the pillow I bought 10 years ago in the one that I just bought a couple of months ago. I have the MyPillow pet beds. These pet beds have survived some of my pets who have died, and you can't tell the most recent MyPillow pet bed from the original one I got many years ago because they're 100% machine washable. But everything Mike Lindell makes is high quality and lasts. Same goes for the towels. Everything I have from Mike Lindell, everything is just so well made. And you can use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, on all the specials at mypillow.com. Not just the ones that I talk about, but there's incredible deals going on right now. And if you're shopping for Dad, get him a MyPillow. They're just $17.98 with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. I've been telling you the MyPillow slippers are $90 off. The MyPillow towel sets just $39.98. And there's also beach towels. I don't have the MyPillow beach towels. I think I'm going to order those. They come individually, and they're 50% off. The MyPillow beach towels. So, but there's a lot of great things to buy there, including the mattresses and the mattress toppers. Huge savings site-wide. And again, you can use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, on everything there. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning. This is Richie here.
Hey, Richie.
Brian, you should have been a lawyer because you can pull stuff out of people involuntarily that are, it's unbelievable. I mean, these people expose themselves. This last caller, he said, the first comment, Trump is violating the Constitution. You know, it's violating the Constitution, every federal judge, because they're not in the Constitution. This was an add-on afterwards. These guys have assumed, like you said, little presidencies all over the country, and they're all Democrats, or they think like a Democrat.
In fact, yesterday, President Trump got the Supreme Court to rule in his favor of deporting all the Venezuelans. In some local district federal judge appointed by Obama gave a ruling overruling the Supreme Court. Can you imagine? They overruled the Supreme Court.
Yeah, there's a bunch of little presidents running all over the country, Democratic presidents. You know, you said something real quick, and Comey, by the way, he insults your intelligence, man. I mean, you're the head law enforcement guy in this country, and you don't know what 86 means? You're trying to make it like a restaurant? Give me a break. I mean, 86 means you zap them. That's the bottom line. And 47 is obvious. So I think he should have been locked up, and that's my point of view. Here's the other thing. You said the big bill. You mentioned that it's going through. I was very disappointed. I'm not blaming Trump. I'm blaming the Republicans. I'm on a fixed income, and Social Security is a main thing for me. And President Trump wanted no tax on Social Security. They dropped that.
It'll be back. It'll be back. It'll be back. You know, it'll be back, and I know it'll be back because Trump promised it. Trump promised it. You know, and you know the thing about I did not know my mother paid tax on her Social Security. My mother works part-time, like 2 days a week or something, and she's retired. And she was telling me she pays taxes on her Social Security, and I was well, is it worth working? If you're, she likes to keep busy, But the thing about that is, when there's legislation going through these committees and through the Congress, I have never followed the day-to-days. And the reason is, it's like watching the sausage being made. They have these. What comes out of the committee is not going to be the final bill. It goes through different committees. They talk, they add and take out. Then it goes to the Senate, and they do the same. And then the Senate and the House get together, and they have this thing called reconciliation, where the leaders meet, and then they make more changes to the bill. It goes on forever, and it will be in there before President Trump signs it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you do know that you pay tax on your Social Security every time. You're self-employed, I guess, but you still have to get tax Social Security.
Oh my goodness! I got to pay. Not only do I pay income taxes, but when you're in business for yourself, you've got to pay your own employment taxes, and that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. No, what I mean is, when that's withholding. You got to pay your own payroll taxes when you're in business for yourself. So that Social Security is billed as, we're always told it's withholding, but I was shocked. I did not. They hold it.
Tax on it after.
Well, it blew my mind. It blew my mind when I found out that when people are retired, they get taxed on their Social Security. The government takes the money from you your whole life. They do whatever they want with it, and then they want to tax you on it. That's nuts.
Yeah, and just like their death tax, the Democrats, after you die, they want your state to pay more taxes. This is craziness. People are wise up that all they are is one giant transfer of wealth from people that are trying to make it to people that are down, illegals and everything else. It's a joke. The whole country's President Trump's fighting some wall here, and it's a bad wall.
Yeah. No, but don't worry. The Social Security tax being done away with will be in the final bill before Trump signs it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Let me ask you a question. What about he came on and he signed this thing against the pharmaceuticals, right? They don't want that either. They're in the pocket.
And that'll be taken care. That'll be if that is not in this bill, it'll be in a future bill. The executive order is signed, so it's done. But here's the thing, okay? President Trump with the art of the deal. I'll give you an example. What are the liberals griping about most with the big beautiful bill? What are they griping about the most?
What do you call it? The millionaires getting tax cuts.
No, they're all no. No. They and I've had some calls. They're cuts to Medicaid, and they're not cutting Medicaid. They're putting a work requirement in for people that are physically able to work. So that came out of the blue. So what'll happen is President Trump will take that out to get what he wants in the bill. That work thing with Medicaid is only if Trump gets it, he'll be happy. It should be in there. But that's the kind of thing Trump puts in the bill so that he can make a deal with the other side. Don't worry, Trump's going to get everything. Listen, that was welfare to work. Clinton had the welfare to work. To receive welfare, you had to work. Newt Gingrich passed that, and then Bill Clinton went along with it. But don't worry, everything Trump promised, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security will be in the bill. Those were campaign promises. He's not going to sign it without it. Don't worry.
Okay, have a great morning.
All right.
Like I said, you should have been attorney, man, because
you
could chop people up good.
Well, a lot of people don't know that Steve and I did some consulting work with the Marines down in Guantanamo Bay when they were holding all those Al-Qaeda guys. They weren't just doing waterboarding. All right, we'll take our break for the top. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back after this.
Afternoon will be a mostly sunny and breezy high of 93 degrees, while this evening will be a breezy and otherwise clear and humid low of 78 degrees. And tomorrow will be mostly sunny and a very warm high of 94 degrees, while tomorrow evening will be a mostly clear and very warm and humid low of 78 degrees.
And now, a True Oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
On the turnpike, there's construction from Boynton Beach Boulevard to the West Palm Beach Service Plaza. There's a crash, US 1 at 5th Avenue South. Spot something on the roads, call the traffic tip line. Pound 250 keyword West Palm traffic. I'm Ron Hurst.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. PBKC is your entertainment destination with poker, OTB, table games, exceptional eats, and exciting events. The poker room is open daily for cash games, tournaments, amazing promotions, and easy-to-play table games. Catch Super OTB action every day except Tuesday from top racetracks around the country. PBKC, where winners play. Go to our website, pbkennelclub.com.
Have you put off buying new tires because you thought they were too expensive? Find friendly prices at Friendly Tire and Margate on both new and used tires. New tires as low as $70 a tire. That's out the door and on the road because Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to balance the tire or mount the tire. They have thousands of used tires in stock too, starting at just $30.
If you're on hold, hang in there.
954-977-9445.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian.
All righty, welcome back. Just to mention, you've heard me talk about I bought tires for my daughter's car a couple years ago from Friendly Tire. I bought her 4 new Firestone tires when she moved to California, and then I shipped my daughter's car to California to her. My daughter just drove. My daughter moved back to Florida, and she moved back to Florida because it was just too expensive. I mean, she filled up her tank at $5.45 a gallon. Can you imagine $5.45 a gallon? Oh my goodness. It was just, it's just too much. So she moved back to Florida, and she wanted to drive across America, and she just drove. And I bought her those tires over 2 years ago, and she drove all over California, let me tell you. And she drove on those same tires from Friendly Tire from LA to Florida, and she took 2 weeks doing it because she did a little more than 2 weeks. She stopped all over the country and made a little vacation out of it. So the Friendly Tire tires are spectacular. In fact, before she left, I said, do you need new tires? And she said no. And so she drove all the way across America with those tires that she's had in the car over 2 years. Friendly Tire, give him a call. And remember, he does tire repairs as well. Let me give you the number. I didn't intend to turn this into a Friendly Tire commercial, but I just heard my recorded commercial, and I don't know if I told you guys about my daughter's tires. Give Friendly Mike a call. He'll give you a quote right over the phone. Remember, the quote he gives you is out the door and out on the road because he doesn't charge you to mount the tire, balance the tire, or even dispose of your old tires. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. All right, I'll take a call or two, and then I'll get into the new stuff in this hour because we got a lot to cover today. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right, sorry. You missed your chance, guy. I'm just going to move on because I got more to cover, but if you want to call, and you certainly can. Okay, Brian Glenn, who's Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, he's a real America's voice. He was with Right Side for many years, and I had an uncomfortable... everybody loves Brian Glenn. I had an uncomfortable meeting with Brian Glenn. Did I tell you guys about this with Brian Glenn? This was nuts, okay? Brian Glenn is Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, and both of them left their spouses for each other. They had like an affair, and Marjorie Taylor Greene left her husband for Brian Glenn, and Brian Glenn left his wife for Marjorie Taylor Greene. Do you remember I did a whole show on that? Taking calls about how disappointed I was with Brian Glenn and Marjorie Taylor Greene? You always, one thing I tell people, when you're on the air, assume everyone's listening. Everyone. And then you'll never get in trouble. Well, it wasn't long after that, I was at an event, and who was there? Brian Glenn. And I found out he listens, or at least he listened to that show. I don't know. It's cool. We've talked since, okay? It was a little embarrassing. I knew I was screwed because I could tell by the way he was looking at me. We were in the same room, right? And he was on the air, and he was still on Right Side then. And he was looking at me, and then they took a break, and he was looking at me, and I'm like, oh, I'm screwed. Because that show, it was like right before that, and sure enough, obviously I did not get interviewed on Right Side Broadcasting that day, which I was kind of hoping. But... oh my goodness. But he's a good guy, and we've talked since, and it's cool. It's cool, Yeah, I was embarrassed. I'm a little embarrassed now. I was thinking about during the break if I was going to tell you guys about that, but because it was so embarrassing. But anyway, that was fun. But always assume people's listening. Unless you're Joyce Kalpin, then you assume nobody's listening because you have no listeners. But other than Joyce, always assume everybody's listening. And I tell people that, and they're like, oh, you're such an egomaniac. You think people's... How would I have known... Right? And it worked out so well. After that is when I had Marjorie Taylor Greene on the show. Remember I had Marjorie Taylor Greene on the show, and I was telling her how great she was and everything? It was after that. Okay? And she was there, too, with Brian when I had that exchange. So it all worked out. But anyway, Brian Glenn is awesome. And I love Brian Glenn. And he is... one of President Trump's personal friends. And he is. He's one of his personal friends. He's not just Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. And he's part of the White House press corps with Real America's Voice, and he asks some of the great questions. In fact, he was the one in the White House press conference with the president, J.D. Vance, and Zelensky. Brian Glenn was the one that asked him why he dresses so inappropriately and disrespectful with the clothes. And remember that? And Zelensky lost it. Right. So so Brian's always good, and it's important to point out that he's such close personal friends with President Trump, and that he's Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend on these instances, because I'm going to play you a clip of Brian Glenn at the White House yesterday on Real America's Voice, and when he says something like this, which I'm about to share with you, in my opinion, that's how Marjorie Taylor Greene feels, and that's how the president feels. I think that what Brian Glenn says here is something that he's talked to Marjorie Taylor Greene about and the president. Okay? Let me play, and what he's, it's a follow-up to what we were talking about yesterday with Bongino and Kash Patel on that Bartiromo interview. Okay, so listen to, let me pull it up here. Okay, here we go. This is Brian Glenn yesterday, and he's actually in front of the White House, on the lawn of the White House, while he says this.
People are angry. Forget about the big, beautiful bill. People want big, beautiful handcuffs on some of these.
Yeah, and what he's talking about, let me just rewind. He's talking about two things. He's talking about that interview, but he's also talking about Comey not being arrested.
People are angry. Forget about the big, beautiful bill. People want big, beautiful handcuffs on some of these people, because for far too long we saw Thomas Crooks took a shot at Trump in the head. He's dead. We don't know any more about that. Ryan Roof tried to shoot Trump on a golf course. We still haven't seen a trial on that. And then James Comey comes out and says, 86-47. And what do? He takes it down, it gets the #1 book, and we move along. I'm very disappointed in the progress in all of this. I have very little hope we'll have any accountability for what you're seeing right now.
Okay, so, and I agree with him, and I like that. And one of the reasons I play that is because I want him to get credit for that new phrase, we want big, beautiful handcuffs. Now, there's a clip, and this is the one thing I was reluctant to play, because when I do something, yesterday we spent most of the show talking about the Bongino Kash Patel interview with Bartiromo, and I don't like to revisit something we did the next day, right? Because I don't want to do the same. By the way, if you're on hold, hang in there. We'll get to the calls in a few minutes. I don't want to do the same show 2 days in a row, okay? But there was a clip that I missed when I watched the interview, and I missed this because I was so ticked off watching them. I was voicing my frustration to my wife, and I missed something. And I saw this yesterday, and this really made me sick. Okay, this is Bongino and Kash Patel. It's from the same interview I talked about yesterday. Now, remember, a lot of people are ticked off about the Epstein thing, for good reason. That was insane. Well, I saw the report. What, that Chris Wray approved? What are you talking about, Bongino? This clip is the one I missed. It's Bongino and Kash Patel, and they're talking about the assassination attempts during the campaign on President Trump.
You know what, Maria? Kash is not kidding. We've been personally briefed extensively on every single detail.
Okay, you know what? Let me just play it uninterrupted, and then I'll share my... I'm getting ticked off just listening to this now. I know what's coming. He already said something that ticked me off, but I'm going to play it uninterrupted. It's 56 seconds, and then I'll share my thoughts. It's hard for me to play it uninterrupted because I get angry. But anyway, listen.
You know what, Maria? Kash is not kidding. We've been personally briefed extensively on every single detail, nugget, tendril of this case. One is actively in court right now, so out of respect for the case, it's probably more appropriate that I stay quiet on that. However, I'm not going to tell people what they want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth. And whether you like it or not is up to you. If there was a big explosive there, right? Given my history as a Secret Service agent and my personal friendship as a director does with the president, give me one logical, sensible reason we would not have. So if you can think of one, there isn't. In some of these cases, the there you're looking for is not there. And I know people, I get it. I understand. It's not there. If it was there, we would have told you.
There's no there with the assassinations. Nothing to see here. Lone gunmen. Really? Both of them have Ukrainian connections. Both of them have connections to that one, what's that company they're both connected to? They were both in videos, corporate videos by that one company that owns like every stock. Which company? I just forgot the name. BlackRock? Was it BlackRock? They're both in BlackRock videos. The golf course shooters and one about Ukraine, and the Butler shooters in one that was done in a classroom. So, and he had Ukrainian phone numbers on one of his cell phones, the Butler shooter. And here's the thing that pisses me off. Do I have to dump myself? Can I say pisses me off? I think I can say it? Okay. I'll find out soon. If you see anyone from management running down the hall. This is what ticks me off, okay? When Kash Patel got named as a director, that was an amazing day. When Dan Bongino got named, was named as the deputy director, that was like too good to be true. And what all of us thought in MAGA world was this. Kash Patel was going to be at the office running the joint, and Bongino was going to be out on the streets knocking in doors and putting handcuffs on people. And what do we get? He's sitting in the office next to Kash Patel all day, getting briefed. He was briefed with reports that were done by the Ray FBI. Tom Homan, and I thought he was going to be like Tom Homan. Kristi Noem is higher up than Patel. She's a cabinet secretary. Okay? Kristi Noem and Tom Homan are kicking doors in, literally, of some of the most wanted and most dangerous criminals in our borders. And these two guys are getting briefed and doing nothing? And that's why, what Brian Glenn said is so important. This is Brian Glenn.
People are angry. Forget about the big, beautiful bill. People want big, beautiful handcuffs on some of these people.
That's right. And Glenn Beck even weighed in on some of this. Now, Glenn Beck, this was yesterday, and this is Glenn Beck. He's actually talking about what Bongino said about Epstein. But it applies to the whole thing. Let me play this. This is Glenn Beck yesterday, and then after the break, I'll go to the phones.
Instead of saying I don't believe it, ask questions. And here's the question I ask myself: to believe Epstein killed himself, what is it I would need to see that could be produced? One.
Okay, so he goes, yeah. So he's saying the same thing. Why is Bongino taking these reports from the Ray FBI as the gospel? Take the damn suit off, Bongino, okay? Put on, real clothes and go out there with a bunch of handcuffs and zip ties and start arresting people like Tom Homan. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino have been two of the most butch guys on the air for 4 years. They get the job, and they're like girls. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. We'll be right back.
Don't.
Hey, Mike?
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world.
All righty, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Our number 1-888-465-2631. It's Tuesday. We've covered quite a bit, and I'm going to go back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Talking to me?
Yes, I am.
Oh, good. So I have a question for you.
What's your name and where are you calling from? All right.
I'm called Smile. My name's Jacob. I have a question for you.
Oh, yes.
In this last 10 minutes, you held a point that Marjorie and her boyfriend should have held to their marriage vows, and you said you gave up that the feeling that you should hold a position of being, for the sanctity of marriage and holding to the promises you've made to your spouse. You instantly gave that up. You said when you were in the room with him.
Well, I wasn't in the room alone. There were other people there. It wasn't a private thing, but
But okay, so you're agreeing that you abandoned the position when you were in front of him. Okay. Fair.
No, I didn't say anything like that. I've this year will be my 29th wedding anniversary, and Brian, let me finish my thought, and then you can go back into your prepared statements that you think you've got me on something. The thing with Brian Glenn is he's very good at what he does. I love his questioning and everything else, but I wouldn't hang out with him. Why do you think I wouldn't hang out with him?
Well, no, we're not talking about hanging out. We're talking about...
No, excuse me. I'm hosting the show. We're talking about whatever I want to talk about, not what you want to talk about. Why would I not hang out with Brian Glenn?
Different reasons. A number of different reasons, whether it could be locale, whether it could be agreements.
No, he's here all the time. No, he is here all the time. I don't hang out with men who cheat on their wives and are unmarried.
But you do take their opinions. You accept that they're...
Well, we are all sinners. We are all. Are you a Christian? Do you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior?
But I do accept a God.
What God is that? What God do you accept? The sun god? What God do you accept? Mother Nature? What God? Zeus, Apollo?
No, I don't accept the teachings of a book written by men. I think that there is a primordial force that ever shaping.
A primordial force. Oh, okay. Well, if you were a Christian, if I didn't ask for some long treatise on your, I'm not excuse me. I asked a simple question. I did not need to hear your lunacy beyond that, okay? But if you were a Christian, of which I am, you would understand that all of us, including the Pope, are sinners.
The Pope's Catholic, not Christian, so.
No, I'm Catholic, and Catholics are Christian. I mean, what is it with these uneducated, uninformed millennials and Gen Z people that are calling me today? Catholic is Christianity. Yes, we are Christians. But we're all sinners. Like you, because you deny Jesus, yes.
I never said I denied Jesus, but...
I asked if you accept Jesus. Do you believe that Jesus died and rose again or any of that? Do you believe any of that?
No, you asked if I was a Christian. That's what you asked. And
Oh, my goodness. You know what this is? Another narcissist. You don't follow. You got your own book. Yeah.
said that.
Yeah.
Forgot.
Okay. All right. Hey, listen. Thank you for the call. Thank you for the call. Maybe I can find somebody a little less narcissistic. Ugh. I don't talk to atheists or deniers of Christ. I really don't. Especially, I do not talk to atheists. I do not. Atheism to me is evil. I've got no use for atheists. And I don't like atheists. And I don't talk to people who are. And I'm not going to talk to somebody denying Jesus either. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Oh, here we go. Another winner. How could I not when you have the receiver in your mouth?
I just wanted to let you know I've heard everything you've had to say, and I'm the one telling you I'm going to rape your face.
Well, I'm so glad. Okay. I got to dump that, but he'll be listening because he wants to hear what he has to say. What I'm very happy about. Okay, with that call. See what I was telling you about yesterday, Mike? I did hit the dump button. We're in dump. Let me tell you how stupid some of these people are. Now, yesterday, I told you that I got a threat during the show, which I did. And I told Mike before the show what it was. And I told him I'm expecting to hear from that person again. Let me tell you how stupid that person just was. Okay? Let me just tell you how stupid that person. Now, when you have this kind of job like I have, getting threatened is part of life, okay? And people that do what I do, you get threats all the time. Out of all the threats I've gotten, and I've gotten many, that is only the second time somebody has done it on the air. There was once a guy who really got in some trouble, a lot of trouble. He called in making the noise of a switchblade and was doing something. You guys might remember him, yeah. It was a long time ago. He's no longer with us. He passed away, and he got in a lot of trouble. But as dumb as that was, he didn't do what that guy just did. I got that guy's phone number. It's on the caller ID. I know who he is, where he is, and his name. And I'm going to tell you this to that last caller. I mean, how stupid to do something like that on the air in public that's being recorded on multiple things and use your own personal phone and give me all your information. What he just did not only is a crime, it probably is a federal crime because he's not inside the state of Florida. I'm not going to tell you where he is. He's in another state. So he's crossing state lines doing something like that. I mean, what kind of fool would do something like that? And I will tell you this. And I usually don't, you don't hear me talk about this too much on the air. Because usually these things happen off the air, but since that happened on the air, I have to address it. I did have to dump some of it, so those of you listening on the radio, I don't know how much of it you heard, but it was a very violent threat I just received. I press charges against everybody who makes threats against me, okay? I had somebody years ago. This was quite a while. When people get threats, you don't typically talk about them on the air. You handle them off the air. But since that happened on the air, I'm addressing it. I would not normally do this. Okay. Now this was many years ago, so this is long enough to talk about. I've never shared this on the air. I get mail. Get a lot of mail. Like this nice lady who sent me the Trump watch from Kansas. Christy sent me a nice Trump watch. She listens in Kansas and sent me this nice Trump watch today. Thank you very much. I get mail. And I got mail one day at the radio station many years ago. I opened it up and it was a drawing. It was a drawing of a man who had, it said Brian with an arrow pointing, and he was on the floor of whatever this drawing was, and his head had been blown off, and there was blood all around him, and they said, this will be you, and they gave me a date. So I got off the air. I took it to the police department. They sent it to the lab for fingerprint analysis. So I just tell you, to the last guy, I don't mess around with that. And again, I've never talked about this stuff on the air because this stuff always happens off the air and you don't talk about these things on the air. But I'm only doing it because the guy called on the air and did something stupid. But I press charges against everyone who makes threats like that. Everyone. Believe me. All right? So I want to thank you, though, for giving me your personal phone number when you called in. So it makes it easier for them to try. I remember once I was in a hit-and-run accident. A guy ran a stop sign and hit me and totaled my car. I was 17. Did I ever tell you about this, Mike? This was crazy. I had a 1981 Chevy Citation, which was a piece of crap car even in 81. And the whole car was totaled. I spun out in a few circles and ended up in someone's front yard. This guy had a pickup truck that just had a dent on it. He ran the stop sign. And we get out of the car. I was 17. He says, can we just settle this here, man? He says, my girlfriend just broke up with me, and he was freaking out. And I said, look at my car. It's totaled. It had smoke coming out of the hood. I had to crawl out of the window. The door wouldn't open. I said, I can't settle it here. My car's totaled. And he says, well, I'm leaving. Now, I would not do this today, and I don't recommend anybody else does, but I was 17. He says, I said, you can't leave. He says, watch me, mother. So he got in his truck. So what I did, which was really stupid, don't do this, and I would not do this today. But when you're young, you do dumb things. I ran after him. He had a pickup truck. I jumped in the bed of the pickup truck. And he says, you better jump out. I'm leaving. I says, well, I'm going with you. And I walked up to the cab in the pickup truck, and he says, get the blank out of here. I'm leaving. And I said, give me your driver's license, and I'll get out. He handed me his driver's license, and I looked, and it was him. So I jumped out, and he left. Police come. This was I was 17, so this was like 1988. The only people that had cell phones were Donald Trump had a cell phone then. Regular people didn't. So I called the police, and they came there, and I had a partial license plate, and I gave it to them, and I didn't. And the cops are like, we can't find him. And I said, well, I have his driver's license. And he's like, what? And he said, let me see that. So I gave it to the police officer. He said, he gave you his driver's license and then he left the scene of the accident? I said, yeah, I got it right here. He looked at it. And he said he was probably drunk or doped up. And since you're not in the hospital, it's not as serious as if I came here and he was drunk. But you know what he did? He got the other cop and they drove to his house and got him right there. Right? And it was hilarious. I couldn't believe it. Well, that's what that idiot just did. He did the equivalent of that guy who gave me his driver's license and then left the scene of the accident. He gave me all his information. So I want to thank you for that, stupid. All right. See what you have to do when you support Trump? Yeah. Okay. We'll be right back.
Making morning radio great again. I think you're gonna really love it. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Hey, it's Scott on the radio, reminding you that your favorite oldies are back on the air right after 10 a.m. this morning on the True Oldies channel.
Now, here's the True Oldies weather forecast.
Your current weather is a
Wow.
77 degrees. This afternoon will be a mostly sunny and breezy high of 93 degrees, while this evening will be a breezy and otherwise clear and humid low of 78 degrees. And tomorrow will be mostly sunny and very warm high of 94 degrees, while tomorrow evening will be a mostly clear and very warm and humid low of 78 degrees.
And now, a True Oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
I-95 northbound, a broken down truck after Indian Town Road. On the Turnpike northbound, a backup from Lake Worth Road to Southern Boulevard. Spot something on the roads, call the traffic tip line, pound 250, keyword West Palm traffic. I'm Ron Hurst.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. PBKC is your entertainment destination with poker, OTV, table games, and exciting events. This Saturday,
I told you. I mean, that's him.
Of course.
So if something happens to me, you'll know. That's who you tell him to go talk to.
But he is not the brightest.
Yeah.
You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Dummy.
The guy that gave me a driver's license, that was hilarious. The cops are like, he didn't get this straight. He gave you his driver's license. I'm like, yeah, I got it right here. Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
Oh, Lee, you should just don't jump into the bed of the truck. But
No.
it didn't work. But don't.
Yeah.
Same temperature all night long.
The whole story is just crazy.
The guy just has a great product. The thing with Mike Lindell sheets, all of them, the fitted sheet at the bottom fits perfectly on the mattress. Every other sheet, you can't get the four corners on, and it's almost impossible. Even
Oh no,
after
I got it. Don't worry.
I don't know how many times, they still fit perfectly.
Yes, absolutely.
You're probably going to be on the next My Pillow commercial, just so you know, okay? Okay. Okay, just to let you know. You heard Lynn from Boynton. She loves her My Pillow sheets. Order yours right now at a huge discount. Use our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout at mypillow.com.
This is Mark Laporta, son of Tom Laporta and proud second-generation owner of Laporta Roofing. As a military veteran who served in the Army after 9/11, I've brought the same dedication and discipline to our family business. At Laporta Roofing, we've been serving our community for nearly 4 decades, and we're committed to continuing that legacy of excellence. Our team specializes in all types of roofing systems, from shingles to tile, slate, metal, and flat roofs. We're the go-to experts for single-family homes, HOA communities, and condo associations. What sets us apart is our unwavering commitment to customer satisfaction. I've personally implemented systems to ensure you receive the best in customer service and workmanship. Don't miss out on our limited time offer for a free roof inspection. Call us now at 954-604-4602 or visit us at laportaroofing.com. Trust the experts who have been protecting homes like yours for generations. Again, that number is 954-604-4602.
Celebrating 48 years on the
All right, we're back. Call us on hold standby. I'm not wearing a belt today, and I didn't wear a belt for the last couple years. And I didn't think too much about it other than I'm not wearing a belt anymore. And I didn't realize the reason I wasn't wearing a belt is because my body was holding my pants up without the need of a belt. And I forgot to put a belt on today. And my pants are falling down. I mean, you can see, my underwear's showing. I just showed everybody on YouTube my underwear on the side. You can see Mike, there's my underwear right there. See, my pants are falling down. And it's because I lost all this weight from Coastal Weight Loss Secret. And my wife keeps telling me, Brian, go out, buy some new clothes. She wanted me to go on Saturday and buy new clothes. And I said, I don't know, maybe I want to lose some more because it's so easy. I'm eating foods I would normally eat. I'm not exercising. I'm not taking any prescription medications. And I'm not hungry ever. And the weight just melts off. So I don't know. I think I might lose some more. Coastal Weight Loss Secret, I want to tell you 2 things that I've learned about our listeners. This first one, this is really amazing. How many people are going in as couples, married couples, going in together to Coastal Weight Loss Secret to lose weight together? And that's really awesome because most people, if one person, if the wife or the husband need to lose weight, the other one typically does because you have the same lifestyle, right? You eat the same stuff and all that stuff. So that's really cool. And also, we have a lot of listeners from all over the country that are calling Coastal Weight Loss Secret. You don't have to be here locally in South Florida and going in person. You can do everything remotely. So give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. When you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. Oh, boy, this is a fun day. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
We're going, Brian, Florida.
All right, Brian in Florida. I'm Brian in Florida, too. So,
Yo, must mean we'll be friends.
I don't know. We'll see.
I think we will. I'm a Trump supporter.
Okay, you called me. You have something on your mind?
Yeah, so, I mean, thanks for having me on. I noticed you were wearing
Here's the setup.
2028 hat.
Yes, from the official Trump store. I bought this from the official Trump store. Trump 2028.
So, I mean, I supported Trump 2020 and 2024. So, from what I understand, the Constitution says a president can't be elected more than twice. So, I am genuinely curious, is that more like a symbolic thing, or do you believe that there's actually a legal path for Trump to run again in 2020?
Well, if you were really MAGA and a Trump supporter, you would know that, right? The Constitution can be amended. In fact, it was amended in 1951 with the term limits, right? So there could be another amendment that does away with the amendment, and you could have unlimited terms, which means that Obama could run, even though he's already had 3 if you count Biden. But Obama could run against President Trump with Bill Clinton as his running mate in 2028 if we amended the Constitution.
Interesting.
You're aware of that, right? There's amendments to the Constitution. It can be amended.
Yeah, there could be. I mean, I would wonder the reason specifically for amending the Constitution at this point in our nation's history.
On this specific thing or in general?
Well, either. I mean, I'm open to either.
Oh, well, in this instance, why do you think? See, I would like to have Trump run in 2028, and then in 2032, and 2036, and 2040 for the rest of his life. I'd like him to be president. Why do you think I would like to amend the Constitution to allow him to be president for another term? Why do you think?
Well, I think if we can prove that he was legitimate.
No, that's not why. No, that's not why. Why do you think I want him to have another term? Or 2 or 3 more?
I think because he's a great president, I think it would be your reasoning, because he does things right for America, because he has the long-term vision of America.
Listen, we've had, of all the presidents we've had, okay? He's 45 and 47, but he's really the 45th in number, right? Because we've had 45 presidents. They don't get counted twice when they do the 2 terms, right? So out of all of our presidents, out of all of them, he is the only president that's not owned by the donors or the special interest of the day, all the way back to George Washington. He's the first president we've ever had that is not beholden to those people, who's not corrupt, who's not bought off by donors, who only is accountable to the American people. That's one main reason. And the chances of having another president at that level, we're going to have other MAGA presidents, but the chances of having somebody that's completely independent like Donald Trump is not likely. I mean, that's the main reason. There's other reasons too, but that's a big one.
No, I get it. I mean, I think he's a great president too. I just think, we risk destroying the MAGA movement by tying it to one man.
It's not tied. Listen, this is the deal, okay? This is the deal. We did not have term limits until 1951. So the country was founded when?
1776.
Yeah. So for almost 200 years, not quite, 25 years short of it, but for 175 years, we didn't have term limits. So we went longer without term limits than we've had them. So I don't know why it's such a bad idea.
I think, if we look at, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, I think the reason that we came up with that was to prevent
what happened with Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the complete takeover of the government. And I fear that adhering to conservative principles, if we allow the executive branch to have more power, I mean, it swings both ways.
No, you still gotta have elections. We're not talking about appointing him president for life. We're talking about him running every 4 years and being elected. You still have to run and get elected.
The more entrenched an executive is, the more power they have over that election process. So
We don't have term limits in Congress. I mean, look at some of these people, or the Supreme Court. Look at Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was in hospice care on the court.
We should have term limits.
We should, but we don't. And they're never going to, because Congress will never pass bills that are going to put most of them out of a job.
It's a miracle that we have a term limit in the executive office. Even though I love Trump, I would vote for him again if the country moved in that direction and changed the Constitution I would be on board with it. But I think
the Constitution was changed many times. You know, the Constitution was changed to give women the vote, and the argument the argument you're making is what Republicans amended the Constitution in 1920 to give women the vote. The Democrats opposed it, right? So what your argument is, oh man, why amend the Constitution? We're going to give these ladies the vote? Why? They haven't had the vote all this time. Why are we going to give them the vote now? So anytime somebody's talked about amending the Constitution, the left have been against it most of the time. The Constitution was amended to free the slaves by President Lincoln. The Democrats opposed that, like they're opposing this now. No, yeah.
I think we have to try different paths to do what you're trying to achieve. Because I would be on board with it. I think finding a way to delegitimize the last time around with Biden, because we all know that it was stolen.
All right, listen, I'm going to run. What's the number one reason that makes you be a Trump supporter? You support Trump because?
He supports America.
Well, what does he do for America that makes you say you're MAGA?
Well, he's bringing manufacturing home to America. He doesn't support trans ideology. He's for supporting the American family.
Okay, so why would you not want him to be president again if he's elected?
It's not that I don't want him to be president again if he was elected. I would actually vote for him again if he was.
Okay, so you're on board with me. All right, listen, I got to run, so you're on board with me. Now, I want to talk about the Sloman's doorbell camera offer. You can get a free camera from Sloman's, a doorbell camera with the installation of your Sloman Shield, and you can see why I have so much security just by the call earlier. And, obviously the doorbell camera is an important part of your security system, which records, this is for that caller earlier, anytime there's movement at your house, you get a notification, you can see it, and it records it in high def at 4K and everything. You can see the people coming to your house. That's right. And it's saved. And you can show it to law enforcement. Isn't that something? That's right. Get your Sloman's doorbell camera. You can get one for free with the installation of your Sloman Shield. But you know what? Sloman's is going to give you more than that. Listen to this. Sloman's is going to give you a free customized home security system and professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. You get an LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts, a lifetime warranty, and a backup battery. Okay, plus you get a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Give them a call right now, 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. We'll be right back.
Hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane Show.
Attention, true oldies listeners. By popular demand, Sloman's is bringing back their unbeatable offer. How would you like to spring into the season with a free doorbell camera? Yes, you heard that right. You get a doorbell camera, and you get a doorbell camera. Everybody gets a doorbell camera. That's right. The first 40 callers who dial 1-833-283-5050 can unlock this limited time offer, featuring a free doorbell camera that connects directly to your smartphone, complete with professional installation of your Sloman Shield. But wait, there's more. be one of the first 40 True Oldies listeners to call 1-833-283-5050 to claim your free doorbell camera with Sloman Shield installation. That's 1-833-283-5050. Call now. When it comes to dental work, there's no one better than Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. But don't just take my word for it. This is Richie the bus driver. He called in on the air to share his experience with Dr. Gupta. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Richie. Dr. Gupta. I go 139 miles to this guy. I had a broken tooth. He fixed it. It was supposed to be temporary. It lasted 2 years. He put dentures in my mouth that are a lot cheaper than anybody else. And he's excellent and no pain. I recommend this guy. To me, he's the best ever. So I want to get that out of the way.
Listen to Richie the bus driver. Go see Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. 954-922-4633. 954-922-4633.
Do you suffer from neuropathy? I did until I went to Lighthouse Medical Center in Pompano. Numbness, pain, burning, tingling in my hands and feet, muscle weakness, loss of balance, muscle twitching have all but disappeared. Say goodbye to your neuropathy symptoms. Call Lighthouse Medical Center for a free consultation. 754-222-6642.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show on the air.
All right, an exciting day here on the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian Craig. Let's go back to our phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Yes, you're on the air. Once. Oh, there we go. There we go. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? We got to wait for the delay to re-engage, and then we'll go back to the phone. So if you're on hold, stand by. Oh, my goodness. What, you know what blows me away with these people? I don't call, you guys choose to listen to me or call me. Now, I could understand you being upset with me if I was calling you or seeking you out, but you guys, it's an option to listen to me, and you certainly don't have to call. So I don't understand. There's a lot of people on the air that I don't like, okay? And you know what? I don't listen to them, and I certainly don't call them. But that's just me. All right. Well, has the delay the delay is re-engaged. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's Bob from Pompano Beach.
Hey, Bob. It's one of those days, man.
These people are idiots. They call, they waste their time. They don't like you. They should listen to you.
That's right.
And anyway, about term limits, it works both ways. Like, I didn't want to see Obama come in the second time.
Oh, you cut out. Yeah. Well, okay. Now, what do you think is my number one reason for wanting Trump to run in 2028? Why do you think?
Continue carrying on what he's been doing.
That's not the number one reason. It's because it freaks out the left so much and the Never Trumpers. They're panicked at the very idea of it. That's how popular Trump is.
I understand what you're saying, but I wanted term limits for Biden. Biden's been in Congress since 1973.
That's never going to happen. There's never going to be term limits in Congress. Ever. I mean, Congress would have to pass a law giving themselves term limits. You think they're going to do that?
No.
Exactly. It'll never happen.
But it's just shame these people are lifers. They stay in Congress for 40, 50 years. It's ridiculous. Look at Feinstein in California, Dianne Feinstein. I'm sure a fixture there.
The reason now my guess is, I mean, I've never studied why they brought term limits in after Roosevelt, but my guess is the Republicans were behind that, right? And that's, and the Republicans had to have been behind it. The Republicans put candidates up in all four of those elections and lost to Roosevelt. So, it was done not to preserve anything other than the Republicans wanted to be able to come back. And they didn't think that they were going to ever be elected again to the White House, so they amended the Constitution.
Yeah, but it works both ways. You could have a Democrat come in, so if there's no term limits,
Well, that's how it works. I mean, you win elections, you lose elections. You got to suck it up.
Thank you, Brian. You have a great show.
All right, take care. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jay.
Oh, hey, Jay.
Yeah, last week we were talking about the fact that, taking an extra turn there. And I said to you, and you said it didn't matter. I said, well, if that's the case, if you want another term, that means Obama could come back and run you.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, I've seen you talking to the guy a couple of guys ago that would be a terrible thing. So that wouldn't be a good idea if we let Trump run again. But that's weird that you would say that now when I told you that last week.
I didn't say that. Yeah, I think you got me confused with the caller. Let Obama run. He can have his plagiarist daughter who steals other people's work and then gets paid big money by Nike to copy it. She can do his campaign ads.
Why don't we just let the president who's there now go back over to Saudi Arabia and let them buy more of our country? Why don't we just let them do that, like your president? Wait a
minute. I missed this. You're telling me that a part of the United States is no longer part of the United States, that President Trump sold it to Saudi Arabia?
I'm telling you that your president went over to Saudi Arabia.
Yes, correct.
Took up all the money he could and stuck it in his pockets like him and his sons are doing right in front of everybody.
No, the deals he made deals with U.S. companies like Boeing.
No, he made personal deals.
What personal deal did Donald Trump make?
Build golf courses and buildings and all the money. And
Excuse me. Excuse me. President Trump does not run the Trump Company anymore, the Trump Organization. It's run by Eric Trump. So what are they?
Y'all think? Y'all really believe that?
What do you think they're not supposed to do? They're not supposed to do business or make money?
Supposed to be doing business.
He didn't.
And on that, what's that that coin or whatever? He's not doing that too? When
backdoor, I don't know what you're talking about. When people are in office, okay, they divest themselves of day-to-day operations with their finances. If there's someone, they don't usually own big international companies like Donald Trump. They usually have a stock portfolio. So, like what'll happen, like Dick Cheney always was talking about this. They put their stock portfolio in what's called a blind trust, and they have nothing to do with it. President Trump is not involved in the day-to-day operations of his company.
You're getting ready to hang up on me now, I know.
Well, it's almost time for a break.
No, right?
It is happening. He has nothing to do with his company now. Yeah. His kids run it.
Trump takes all of them people from other countries down to Mar-a-Lago and make backdoor trading behind everybody's back.
Well, if it's done in... this is interesting. How do you know what happens in secret Mar-a-Lago meetings? If nobody knows...
You remember when I asked you how you knew everything? You said you got waves. I got waves.
But the difference is you're lying. The difference is you're lying.
Oh, everybody's talking about it on every single channel, but you think I'm the only...
Oh, well, and that makes it true.
And that makes it not...
If he is involved in secret financial dealings behind closed doors that are completely secret, do you really think Rachel Maddow and these idiots on MSNBC would be privy to it?
How do you think that we know about it? They're telling us about it.
Because it's called fiction. You know what fiction is?
No, it's
real. No, okay. At least he knows what fiction is. I'm surprised he knows that. There's only one opening on the board, and I want to talk about Dr. Appleton and his laser away pain treatment. Now, I've been telling you guys, he's rid me of pain 7 times. Arthritis, pain that I've had from multiple injuries from skateboard accidents, over 20 years of suffering of knee pain. His laser treatment works. Not only did he rid me of pain 7 times, and in all instances, the pain has not returned because Dr. Appleton's laser wave pain treatment repairs the damage in your body that's causing the pain. It's amazing. There's no drugs, no medications. I take nothing, not even a bare aspirin. Nothing. There's no shots, no surgery, no downtime, and no appointment necessary, even on Saturdays, because walk-ins are welcome even on Saturdays at Dr. Appleton. And Dr. Appleton performs all the laser treatments himself personally, not an assistant. He does them all himself. Works on every type of pain I've ever heard of. Plantar fasciitis, fibromyalgia, rotary tears, herniated disc, acute pain, chronic pain, neck and back injuries, knee conditions, tinnitus, work injuries, sports injuries, arthritis, bursitis, every type of pain I have ever heard of, it works. I've met so many of our listeners that have gotten their lives back, that are living without pain. And let me tell you, as someone who suffered from pain, when you've got that kind of pain, you're immobile. You don't do anything. You just want to go to sleep. And I've been there, but not anymore. And I'm a lot more active around the house doing things that I would not do because I was in so much pain before. Give Dr. Appleton a call and say bye-bye to your pain, just like I've done 7 times. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. We're going to take our break for the top of the hour. 2 hours have gone by already? Holy smokes. Oh, every line on the board is lit. So if you're on hold, stand by. We will go to the phones after the break. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. We'll be back right after our top of the hour break. Don't go anywhere.
And now, a True Oldies traffic check, brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club. Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. PBKC is your entertainment destination with poker, OTV, table games, exceptional eats, and exciting events. The poker room is open daily for cash games, tournaments, amazing promotions, and easy-to-play table games. Catch Super OTV action every day except Tuesday from top racetracks around the country. PBKC, where winners play. Go to our website, pbkennelclub.com.
When you need lab work, don't waste hours and hours waiting at the doctor's office or one of those big labs. Go to any lab test now in Boca and any lab test now in Coral Springs. Their prices are guaranteed to be the lowest you'll find anywhere. No appointment, doctor's order, or prescription is needed, and you're in and out in 15 minutes or less. They offer every lab and blood work your doctor can order. They even have drug testing and STD testing. Take control of your health care and visit any lab test now in Boca and any lab test now in Coral Springs.
If you're new, make sure you subscribe, guys.
These are the only 2 advertising on our radio station, so don't use the rest. Only go to any lab test now in Boca and any lab test now in Coral Springs. And make sure you tell them you heard about them on the radio.
Do you suffer from neuropathy? I did until I went to Lighthouse Medical Center in Pompano. Numbness, pain, burning, tingling in my hands and feet, muscle weakness, loss of balance, muscle twitching, and all of it disappeared. Say goodbye to your neuropathy symptoms. Call Lighthouse Medical Center for a free consultation. 750-489-4669.
40 years at the same location and offering great deals on new and used tires. I have many suppliers. Whatever car or truck you have, I can get you incredible deals on any tire. I also do tire repairs at very low prices. Give me a call. My number is 954-977-9445. I will give you a price over the phone on new and used tires. Again, my number is 954-977-9445. Thank you.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian.
All righty. The third hour has begun. I'm Brian. I'll take some calls before we do any recapping or get into the other issues of the day. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once. Yes. Twice. All right. You're out. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Yes. Oh. You're on the air. Okay. Once, twice. All right, you're out. Well, let me do some recapping. If you'd like to call in, please do. Oh my goodness. You know what? You know what's going on here. You know what's going on here. Total meltdowns of Trump derangement on the in the country. Really, I mean, liberals are without question losing their minds, and you see it each and every day. Are those the spots I have to do this hour? Okay, good. Just want to make sure. Okay, now if you're on hold, hang in there. I will go to the phones in a few minutes. I wanted to share this clip. It's not the kind of thing I would normally spend too much time with, but it's important to share because, you know, Hannity has a very good line that I don't know if he still uses this on the radio, but he did for many years. He said, we're here, 5 days a week combating liberal media bias, right? I always thought that was pretty good. And, one of the things that we do here is combat not the liberal media bias only, but also the talking points. And they have one of the biggest talking points they have is that the Republicans are cutting Medicaid, which contrary, we talk about how Medicaid is not just for poor people when we talk to Attorney Barry Siegel, but the liberals think it's only for poor people, and they're saying we're cutting Medicaid. And this is Steve Scalise. And remember, Steve Scalise was shot by a campaign worker for Bernie Sanders. So Steve Scalise was shot by a Democrat and luckily survived. But this is Steve Scalise, who was shot by the Bernie Sanders campaign worker, talking about the Medicaid cuts, the truth, and the big, beautiful bill.
Yeah, and let's keep in mind, Medicaid still grows under this bill. It just doesn't grow as dramatically. It's been one of the biggest growth areas of the budget. But we do put some constraints in place in terms of work requirements and say, if somebody's able-bodied and they can go get a job and they're living in their mom's basement playing video games, I'm sorry, you got to go get a job.
Yeah, I mean, what's wrong with that? And they're calling that Medicaid cut. Now, there is cuts so far as people getting Medicaid that aren't supposed to get it, like all the illegals, okay? There's a lot of that going on. There's no question about that. But what this work requirement, it really cracks me up because I don't think that's going to stay in Medicaid. Medicaid is not welfare, okay? That welfare to work thing came in the Clinton years. And the reason that came in, Newt Gingrich passed it when he was Speaker with the Contract for America. Bill Clinton was up for re-election, and the Republicans were so popular, he made it a campaign issue, welfare to work. It was kind of, when he ran against Bob Dole, it's hard to believe that a Democrat, Bill Clinton was, running on this welfare to work. Medicaid's different from typical welfare. That's not going to be in the final bill. I was telling this to a caller in the first hour. Some of these things are in there, so if they get through, that's fine. This Medicare work, if you can, which, by the way, doesn't apply to people that are disabled or sick and such. It applies to I guess some of our callers, that I talk to, the gamer crowd. But that's probably not going to be in the bill. There's a bunch of things like this that seem controversial that really aren't, but they're triggering things for the Democrats that Trump will take out so he can say, okay, we made a concession. That's it. That's all. That's the reason that thing's in there. And it doesn't matter that I spill the beans on it, because Democrats, they have Trump derangement syndrome more severe than the level of cancer Biden has, that they can't even hear when you tell them that. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, it's
John from Georgia.
Okay, John in Georgia. What's on your mind? What's up?
Well, I don't like a lot of things that are going on in our criminal justice system. And I want to promote talking about it so we can hopefully change it.
Well, it's not open phones, but give me briefly what you're talking about, and I'll see.
So, like in my county, they changed the name of what you are, detainee, inmate, whatever, so they don't have to give you your legal right to visit a law library.
How many times? Let me ask you. How many times have you been arrested?
About 5.
5 times. How many times do you think I've been arrested?
Probably, I don't know, 10.
You think I've been arrested 10 times? What makes you think I've been... You've been arrested 5 times. You think I've been arrested 10? Why is that?
Well, I mean, the way you just asked it, like, you've been arrested more than me. So I figured you're...
What, really? What kind of crime? 10 times. You've been arrested 5. What things have you been arrested with? Not that you were guilty, but what were you charged with during these 5 arrests?
Possession of marijuana.
How much? Wait. How much marijuana did you have?
Just a dime bag.
Okay. What else? What else have you been charged with?
What do you call it?
He's been arrested so many times he doesn't even know. What else?
Destroying mailboxes.
You were destroying mailboxes? How?
And we were, cruising and hitting mailboxes.
With what, like a baseball bat or the car?
A baseball bat, no.
Okay, so you were destroying people's property. Okay, so possession of marijuana, destruction of mailboxes. What other crimes have you been charged with?
What is it? What do you drive with no insurance and didn't produce license? And see, now that one was messed up. I asked for a supervisor. Someone came and they just arrested me. I didn't get to talk.
Yeah, I know. None of these things are... Okay, so what else have you been charged with?
Something I want to talk about, but, it's messed up.
No, what other things have you been charged with? Come on. These certainly aren't your worst charges. What are some of the more severe charges?
The severe one?
Yes, the ones you... Yes.
Well, contributive delinquency of a minor.
Really? Tell me about... What did they accuse you of doing to a minor?
I didn't do anything. We were out partying, doing drugs and everything else, and there was minors there.
What kind of drugs, other than weed?
Just weed and alcohol.
Weed and alcohol. How old were these minors?
16 and 17.
Were they girls or boys?
Boys.
Okay. So was that your most severe charge? What's the most severe thing you've been charged with? Like the heaviest? I'm not saying you did anything. What's the most severe charge? Like the most serious?
Okay, the real serious one was...
They all sound serious to me. Yeah?
was 4 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor.
Oh my! How old was the child?
No clue. I never saw him.
Well, but the charge said so. Like a minor under the age of. What was the charge? Under the. Okay, so you were charged with doing what to a minor under the age of 16?
Nothing. I didn't do anything.
No, I didn't say you did anything. You're just an unlucky guy that gets arrested all the time for felonies that you didn't do. But when they charged you, they said you... What was the charge to the minor under 16? What did they accuse you of doing?
They said I had pictures of them, 4 pictures.
Naked?
Girl.
Okay, and is that the most serious crime you've been charged with?
Yeah.
How much time have you done for these charges?
A lot of the stuff I had was misdemeanors, and I did just very little time.
To him?
Stuff. and got probation and whatnot. Violated probation once, but that was BS too.
I know, just like everything else. I mean, you know. So what about these charges with the minor under the age of, what was it, under the age of 16?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. How much time did you get for those charges?
2.5 years. I got 22.6, but I did 2.5 years.
Oh, so you've been to the actual prison, because if you do over a year, you're not in the county jail. So you've been to prison. So was it a state or a federal prison?
State.
Oh, okay. And was it like maximum security?
No, mine was considered the lowest.
Minimal. Oh, you were okay. But you did 2.5 years, or did you get out early?
I did 6 months in county, 1.5 years in prison, and 6 months in work release.
Oh my goodness! So throughout your entire life, how much time have you been locked up?
3.5 years.
Okay, 3.5 years. Okay, so you think I've been arrested 10 times? How much time do you think I've done?
Probably less than a year.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's for sure. Want to guess again?
5 years.
You think I've done 5 years in jail? What do you think? What do you think I've done? This is this is such a great call. This is really a great call. I'm gonna share with you a secret. I haven't done 1 second in jail, and I've never been arrested. Now, no, I'm not lucky, and you're not unlucky. Why?
Well, twice for being white.
Okay, I've been pulled over many times in my life too. I've been pulled over, but I've never been arrested. So, why do you think well?
You must know your stuff and had video cameras recording.
No.
Your stuff and you.
No, because I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm not driving around smoking weed or things with minors or whatever else, or I'm not vandalizing people's property. There's I'm a law-abiding citizen.
That's not entirely true, because everyone does something illegal sometime in their life.
Everybody in your circle does illegal things in their life, but in my circle, I am a law-abiding citizen, as are the people around me.
Went over the speed limit.
Oh, well, the speed limit is not what you've done. The speed limit doesn't get you arrested. It gets you a ticket. Now, if I was breaking the speed limit and I was high and had weed with me, illegal weed, and I was high, then I'd get arrested. Like with you had weed or things like this.
But here's the whole problem with the criminal justice system. One, they blackmail you into taking a plea.
Well, but if you don't, but listen to this. I got to see. Listen. I'm going to tell you something. You can't be blackmailed into taking a plea deal if you don't break the law in the first place and get arrested.
Coerced. I was coerced.
Coerced. See, the problem. What state are you in?
Georgia.
Okay, Georgia, far enough away from me. Okay, here's the here's what I want to tell you this. The problem is not with the criminal justice system. The problem is you. You're a lifelong criminal, and everybody in your circle are criminals.
Person, I was bad when I was a kid, and a little bit, and it was mostly
a little bit.
I
don't know about a little bit. You did 2.5 years. You were in the penitentiary in Georgia. That's pretty big deal. Now in your circles, a little 2.5 year stretch may not be that big of a deal.
The reason I did 2.5 years is because I had a crappy lawyer, and they.
Really? It had nothing to do with the crimes. It's just because you had a bad lawyer. It had nothing to do. Now notice in all these times you've been arrested, all this time you've done, it's never been your fault. You're a victim. Bad lawyers.
Yeah. I was smoking weed, hanging out with the wrong people, got talked into dumb stuff.
Got talked into. Now, see, that's somebody else's fault. Somebody talked you into it. It had nothing to do. Listen, I appreciate your call. I've enjoyed talking to you, but I got to run for a break, okay?
You're not discussing the real topic. You've changed the whole topic.
I am the host of the show. I decide the topics. It is not Fridays is open phones. The other days is not open phones, and I broke ranks with that. And we did this. We learned a lot.
Open phones. Okay.
Okay.
I'll call you Friday and discuss this.
Yeah, we'll talk about the legal justice system on Friday on open phones when you call in.
Yeah, because it's very corrupt.
Well, it's only but if you don't listen. Have you ever heard there was a great song by the late great Sammy Davis Jr. You ever heard of Sammy Davis Jr.?
Yes.
Okay, he was part of the Rat Pack with the great Frank Sinatra, and he sang a theme song for a television show about a police officer in the 1970s, hosted by a guy who went on to murder his wife in real life, but Robert Blake, and it was called Beretta. And Sammy Davis, one of the best lyrics I've ever heard in a television theme song, it says, "Don't do the crime if you can't do the time." And you wouldn't have to worry about time and plea bargains and all this stuff if you just stopped doing crime.
Well, what about all the people who get falsely arrested? You said that.
Well, but that's not you. Yeah. Donald Trump was falsely arrested in Fulton County, Georgia, where you were in the penitentiary. He was falsely arrested in New York by Bragg. It does happen, but you confessed. You told me in many of these instances you did it.
I'm charged with.
Yeah. No, I said, were you using baseball bats on the mailboxes? You said yes, baseball bats. We weren't running the car zone. Yeah,
I did all that.
See, you did all that. Yeah. Hey, listen, I gotta run. I gotta run. Take care. All right, we'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1.
Okay.
This is the Steve Kane Show.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Morning. How are you, bro?
Good. I was just talking to a guy who spent some time in prison and was blaming his lawyer. But you're not that kind of. You're not a criminal lawyer. You're a good lawyer.
We're lawyers that we do estate planning, helping people set up their wills and trusts. We do elder law, which is helping people have a path to long-term care being paid for, and we handle probate and trust administration, and that's it. And as far as the elder law, what that is asset protection for folks who need care at some point, whether it be at home or in an assisted living facility or a nursing home. And a lot of people don't have a plan together to take care of the cost of this long-term care. And it may be too late for many of you to get long-term care insurance. And even if you could, it's very expensive and you have to qualify for it. So what we do at the Siegel Law Group is we give people a second chance to have a way to pay for this long-term care. So if this is something that you're concerned about, something that might be keeping you up at night, then you should call our office for a free review of your current long-term care status, and we could take a look and see where you are to see if you're in a position where you could potentially qualify to have government benefits pay for this care for you. And if not, then we could take some measures to make sure that you or you and your spouse are in a position to be able to qualify when or if that time should unfortunately come. You need to make sure that you're ready so that you don't run out of money during your lifetime just because you or your spouse happen to become ill.
Yeah, and I imagine when it comes to the Medicaid planning, which covers at-home care as well as nursing home care and assisted living and all that stuff, I would imagine a lot of times you get calls from the spouse of the person who needs the care, or maybe the adult children, right?
Absolutely, that's usually who we hear from.
Really, from the parents, or from the spouse, or from the adult children?
Both.
Yeah.
On the circumstance.
And I'll tell you, it can become such a financial devastating time for a family when mom or dad or grandma and grandpa need care. They don't call you, and they take them into their own house. It gets expensive, and it also can throw the balance off in a home too. And it's such an easy thing. Call the Siegel Law Group. It's a no-charge consultation with the Siegel Law Group. If you mention you heard Attorney Barry Siegel on the program, and the number is toll-free, 855-FLA-3782. 855-FLA-3782. Remember, the Siegel Law Group can help you no matter where you are in the state of Florida. And their website is siegellawgroup.com. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel, glad you're feeling all better. It's good to hear. All right, take care. We'll talk later in the week. All right, take care. All right, we're back. It's been a strange day. I don't know what's going on here on our phones, but, I'm sorry Steve wasn't here to enjoy some of these calls. He'll be very upset that he didn't get to participate with some of these loons I've been talking to. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right, that's it for you. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Yes, you. Yep.
My name is Jade. I'm from Wisconsin.
All right, Jade in Wisconsin. What's up?
SSDI.
Okay, what? That sounds exciting. What about it?
So I just want to ask you some questions and get an idea of what you actually know about the SSDI program, its funding, things like that.
What is this? I'm not even sure what it is. Is it the Social Security disability coverage that people might get? Okay. I have heard of it.
Okay, well, it's good that you've heard of it at least. So, for some context, I was in a car accident about 7 years ago, shattered my C2 through T6 vertebrae, which is over half your spine, incurred an incomplete spinal cord injury, and as such have quite a degree of chronic health issues as a result.
Like what? What health issues do you have right now that are preventing you from working?
So I have issues with my muscles just suddenly stop working. I'll collapse on the ground if I'm on my feet too long.
Oh.
For more than 10 minutes, I'm in such severe pain, I start hyperventilating. I have issues with my bowel not working correctly. I have issues with my bladder not working correctly.
Yeah.
I have issues with blood pressure to the extremities of my body. A whole array of issues.
All of which prevent you from working. So have you been denied benefits? Is that your beef? You seem to have an issue.
So, yeah, it's been 7 years, and I've been unable to get benefits. And you want to know what the real cause of that is? You want to know what the real cause of the fact that I can't get benefits, even though I'm very clearly, severely disabled?
Why? Here we go.
Because the Social Security Administration is incredibly underfunded. Their requirements haven't been updated since the 1970s. The first thing that SSDI administration has to look at when they decide on whether or not you qualify for benefits is low impact job list.
Okay, now slow down. Okay, now slow down. I know more about this than I'm letting on. Okay, I know a little bit of stuff. Do you work now?
No, I can't.
Well, how do you pay? How do you pay your bills and eat and stuff?
I am currently living back home and just trying to survive.
Okay, you live with your parents. Okay, I have a friend. His name's John. He may be listening, and he's one of my oldest friends. I've known him since I was like 17, 16 years old. When I was in high school, I worked at Publix, which is the big grocery store chain, in Florida, and we worked together at Publix when I was like 17. So, so I've known him like 35 years or more, okay? And he had some type of brain tumor, and he had brain surgery where they removed part of his brain. And he had severe disabilities because of that. And he, like you, and he was legit. I mean, because I know him, and he's a hardworking guy, and it pained him to apply for Social Security. And I know others that have had similar things, but it pained him to apply for Social Security disability, but he was denied. Now, and I remember when he was going through this process, and people had told him that they deny everybody they can the first time. You got to reapply. He reapplied. He was denied. That was years ago. So what do you think my friend did that was legitimately disabled and had part of his brain removed? What do you think he did after he was denied the second time?
Got an attorney.
Yeah, he got an attorney. Well, then you got to okay. Slow down for a second. Okay, my friend got an attorney, and he got him his benefits. Now, the payment, he didn't have any money because he'd been disabled, hadn't worked for a long time. So the lawyer gets a piece of his Social Security disability every month, forever. So with your attorney, there's two possibilities that have resulted in you not getting benefits. What do you think the two possibilities are with your attorney?
I just got an attorney this year.
Oh, okay. So you're going to the okay. If you're if your attorney, if you're still denied benefits with an attorney, there's two possibilities. You don't meet the standards, which is possible, or you just got a bad attorney. You need to get a better attorney.
Right, but that's not really where my questions are leading. So my next question for you is, do you know what the majority of the cost is for the SSDI administration?
I have no idea. What?
So when you go through SSDI, you hire an attorney, and you need to go use an attorney to get it. The way that the payment works is they take a portion from whatever you get for your payback, and the state, or not the state, but the SSDI administration pays the rest of it. The largest contributing cost factor to the Social Security Administration is attorney fees. 80% of the costs that Social Security Administration has to
Okay, whatever. Whatever. But here's the thing, and I'll give you some advice. Okay, we've been talking. Well, I'm gonna give it to you anyway. Well, I don't care what you want. I'm gonna give it to you anyway. Okay. I believe your situation, and I feel your pain. I do. However, we've been talking for a few minutes on the phone. You sound fine. And in 2025. There's all kinds of at-home work that people do, oftentimes disabled people. Why? You can talk on the phone.
For how long, though?
I don't know. Well, you've been talking to me. You've been talking to me for You've been talking to me for 13 minutes and 37 seconds.
Watch how I can't do that.
Oh, so you could do 3 hours.
4 hour shift? What?
Huh?
What? I didn't hear that.
I said, so you could work, what about 3 hours? You said 4 hours, you'd have to go to the bathroom. Okay, I might have to go to the bathroom. Sometimes I have to go to the bathroom during the show. During the break, I go to the bathroom.
Going to the bathroom for me isn't walk to the bathroom, go in there for 5 minutes and come out. It's a 1 to 2 hour process.
Well, so you could work for 3 hours?
How my body works.
You could work for 3 hours?
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Because I have other health.
Okay. So you could. So you could get. But you could work from home for 3 hours and then take a break. So you could work part-time. Well, you haven't tried. Oh, yeah.
If I was working 3 hours in my state, if I earn more than $1,200, I lose my Medicaid benefits.
Oh, so you are getting some benefits.
I get Medicaid because Medicaid is all I can get.
Well, listen, hopefully things work out with your lawyer, but I got to run for the break, but thanks for the call. All right. If you're on hold, stand by. We will be right back.
Making morning radio great again. I think you're gonna really love it. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Hey, it's Scott on the radio, reminding you that your favorite oldies are back on the air right after 10 a.m. this morning on the True Oldies channel.
Now, here's the True Oldies weather forecast.
Your current weather is a mostly clear 77 degrees. This afternoon will be a mostly sunny and breezy high of 93 degrees, while this evening will be a breezy and otherwise clear and humid low of 78 degrees. And tomorrow will be mostly sunny and a very warm high of 94 degrees, while tomorrow evening will be a mostly clear and very warm and humid low of 78 degrees.
And now, a True Oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
On the turnpike southbound at Stop and Go from Okeechobee Boulevard to Lake Woods Road. An accident reported North Lake Boulevard west of US 1. Spot something on the roads, call the traffic tip line, pound 250 keyword West Palm Traffic. I'm Ron Hurst.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. BBKC is your entertainment destination.
destination with poker, OTB, table games, and exciting events. This Saturday, come out and watch, wager, and win on the second leg of the Triple Crown, the Preakness Stakes. The paddock is the perfect place to catch all the OTB and sports action with over 140 HD TVs, delicious food, full bar, and friendly service. For more info, go to pbkennelclub.com.
If you're a homeowner or with a homeowners association and your roof is old or compromised, you need to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. Laporta Roofing has been in the roofing and construction business since 1984, with thousands of roof installations and thousands of satisfied customers. Did you know that in the state of Florida, you can open a roofing company or someone else's license? Tom Laporta is the holder of his roofing and general contractor's licenses, not like the other companies that borrow other people's licenses. So be sure who you're dealing with. Tom Laporta and his team are honest, knowledgeable, and reliable, and he'll never sell you a roof you don't need. Laporta Roofing carries all insurance, including workers' compensation for all of its employees, not just a waiver like other contractors. Laporta Roofing can handle any type of roofing job too: residential roofing, HOAs, condominiums, and churches. If it's roofing, Laporta Roofing can do it. So call Tom Laporta on his cell phone, 954-604-4602, or connect online at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602. Laporta Roofing, the go-to roofing company you can trust.
We're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Linda Wing, I just received my 7th and 8th set of Mike Lindell sheets. This time we got flannel ones, which we had never had. I got one for my husband for Christmas. He loves it. Oh my God. And especially with the cold days and nights we've been having the last few months in Florida, I got 2 more. I send them to my friends for Christmas now, and they just love them. Absolutely love them.
Yeah, I have the flannels too. You're like Goldilocks. They keep you the same temperature all night long.
Yes. So, perfect. The guy just has a great product.
The thing with Mike Lindell sheets, all of them, the fitted sheet at the bottom fits perfectly on the mattress. Every other sheet, you can't get the 4 corners on, and it's almost impossible. Even after having them for years and washing them, I don't know how many times, they still fit perfectly.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
You're probably going to be on the next My Pillow commercial, just so you know, okay? Because
okay.
Okay, just to let you know.
You heard Lynn from Boynton. She loves her My Pillow sheets. Order yours right now at a huge discount. Use our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout at mypillow.com.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
All right. I feel like Dr. Laura today on the show. I bet, remember Dr. Laura? Yeah. Whatever happened to Dr. Laura? She probably asks herself that, but remember the people with problems today. But health issues can be a big problem. It's something we talk a lot about. I was talking to Barry Siegel about that. And then last week, when Joe Thomas was in studio, and this fits into that previous caller, we were talking about annuities, and one of the new annuity options has an income doubler for unexpected health events for you or your spouse. And health issues in a family can bankrupt a very well-to-do family. I've seen it happen, because all of a sudden somebody can't work. And, of course, when somebody has health issues, there's a lot of expenses, too, with that, isn't there? Absolutely. And, I don't understand why everyone's not in annuities. And I think most people that aren't in annuities are not because they don't understand them, right? They're into the, I didn't either before I met Joe Thomas. And when he explained annuities to me within 5 minutes, I'm like, why isn't everyone doing this, right? 401ks, other investments, they don't do what annuities do. One, your money is always 100% safe with an annuity. Your money's never at risk, and you're guaranteed a revenue stream when you're retired for the rest of your life. Isn't that something? It's amazing. And Joe Thomas is offering free phone consultations. And I want you to understand the value of this phone consultation that you're getting at no charge with Jupiter Joe Thomas. Listen to this. He's a 5-time qualifying member of the $1 Million Roundtable, which is achieved by less than 1% of all financial advisors in the world. So Joe Thomas is a top man in the industry who has over 30 years of experience in the retirement planning industry. Give him a call, and you can take advantage of this no-charge consultation no matter where you're located in the United States. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And online, jupiterjoe.com. All right, now before I go to the phone, I know some of you are probably thinking I seem kind of heartless with that last guy. not only do I know people that have had health issues and things, I've got people in my own family that have had these issues. And the way that I was raised is that you don't sit around. You heard these last two callers, the guy with the crime and then this guy that can't get his Social Security disability. They're both victims. Nothing's their fault, and they both got their hand out. And in the world that I was raised in, family helps family. Now, I understand sometimes people don't have family, but that guy has family. And if something happened with my daughter where she was disabled and couldn't get benefits like that, hey, her old bedroom, I've converted it into a studio for podcasting and such, but it can be turned into a bedroom real quick, and I'll just move all my broadcast equipment to another room in the house. Not a problem. But family taking care of family, not this handout to the government, right? That just, I don't really have a lot of patience for that. All right, let's see here. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air.
Hi, it's me, you dumb.
No, okay, well, didn't even have to use the dump button that time. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, am I on the phone?
You're on the phone and on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's Jade again. I didn't.
Jade, it's one call per day. But are you the, well, no, I had to take a break. But you told me you can't talk very long. You might have to. Are you the disabled guy or the convict?
I'm the disabled one.
Well, you told me you can't talk long. Excuse me. I had to go to a break. You told me you can't talk long because you might have to go to the bathroom. You and I talked for over 15 minutes last time, and now we've talked, you've been on hold for 3, 4, 5 minutes during the break, and you haven't had to go to the bathroom yet. So I don't know, maybe you should be calling like somebody that's, excuse me, you call somebody that's looking for at-home workers. It's one call. It's one call per day. You can call me on another day. Make your point. Make your one point. But
is that, like, look at the disability system, how it's set up. There's an asset limit of $1,200. If you own more than $1,200, excluding your house and your car,
you've got. Listen, you. What state? What state are you in? What state are you in? What state are you in?
I'm in Wisconsin.
Okay. Well, you need a better lawyer. Okay, take care. Thanks for the call. You need a better lawyer. See, if he was in Florida, I was gonna hook him up with Barry Siegel. Okay, but he's not in Florida, so you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Now you really pissed me off, Brian. Okay, because I wanted to comment on something you said yesterday with the auto pen. I wanted to make a second point, and all of a sudden I have to be the chronic caller because I wanted to say something more. No, it wasn't something.
Okay, all right. Oh my goodness. Was that IB? I don't know who that was. That sounded like, was that IB dropping the F-bomb? I'd use the dump button. What has happened with this audience? What is going on with the callers today? If you're on hold, hang in there. Why? You know what I really don't get is, why are these callers so angry with me? What are they so angry about? That's what I'm really trying to figure out. I guess the problem is somewhere within me. But I don't know at what point the everything went down the tubes, but things have been going down the tubes on the phones today. Our number's 1-888-465-2631. I don't even know if I should even bring up any other stories. I got other stuff to cover, but in fact I'm going to. If you're on hold, hang in there. Not just because I'm letting the delay build back up. Scott Adams, you hear about Scott Adams? Scott Adams, he's the creator of, isn't it Dilbert? And he's a conservative, and he made an announcement yesterday, and I probably shouldn't tell this story. He's a good guy, but he stole some of my material once and got credit for it and got like millions of views online. I was really upset. In Trump's I'm going to play this thing. I have run-ins with people, not just callers, but in Trump's first term, I asked Alexa, I said, who is, What is the name of that reporter? He just left CNN. He was the White House correspondent for CNN in Trump's first term. Oh, I just forgot his name. And they put him on late at night on CNN, so he quit, and he's doing a podcast now. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? Oh, what is that guy's name? You know who I'm talking? You guys know who I'm talking about. What is that guy's name? I cannot remember his name to save my life. He was the White House correspondent for CNN in Trump's first term. Okay, and he just left CNN. Oh, was it Acosta? Jim Acosta? Okay. In Trump's first term, he had a run-in with Trump in a press conference, and I really didn't know anything about Jim Acosta at the time. So I asked Alexa, "Who is Jim Acosta?" And Alexa said, Jim Acosta, I couldn't believe this. Alexa said, Jim Acosta is a fake news journalist who currently is the White House correspondent for CNN, and then went on to some other things. And I couldn't believe it. And I asked Alexa like 3 times, and it said the same thing. Now, this is before I was on YouTube. I was on Periscope, and Scott Adams, I can't remember if he was on YouTube or Periscope at the time, but we don't know each other, but we know of each other. And I made a video, and I put it on Periscope. I told the whole story, and I made a video showing my Alexa, who is Jim Acosta? And it says, Jim Acosta is a fake news journalist who's the White House correspondent for CNN. And I couldn't believe it. And I put it online, and it was getting views like nobody's business. And then Scott Adams, who's famous for the Dilbert, that's a famous thing. It's a nationally syndicated cartoon in the newspapers and everything. So he's famous, not like me, you know. And he saw my video, and then he did it himself and put it up like he discovered it, and he got like millions and millions of views. But I probably shouldn't tell that story. I'm not holding any grudges, but that's just, you know, my Scott Adams experience. But anyway, Scott Adams made a really sad announcement that I'm going to share after the break, after the Gold Report. But first, I want to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. You know, I was talking earlier in the show about Coastal Weight Loss Secret, and I'm not wearing a belt today. My pants are literally falling down, and I was showing Mike. You can see they've really been falling down, and I just forgot to put a belt on, and I went 2 or 3 years, maybe a little longer, without wearing belts unless I was dressed up, and I didn't realize it until I lost all this weight. Thanks to Coastal Weight Loss Secret. The reason I wasn't wearing a belt is because my waistline was so big that I didn't need to. Everything was tight, and it just held everything up. And I've lost all this weight, and I have lost inches, multiple inches off of my waist. I'm looking forward to when I go out and buy new pants, because I know what size pants I was wearing to see how many sizes I've gone down. But Coastal Weight Loss Secret, I've lost all this weight. I feel great. You can see where I've lost the weight in my face and my neck and stomach, those of you who watch me online. And if you see me walking around, I put on a pair of swim trunks. The other day, I was doing some workout in the yard. I was going to get wet, and I put on swim trunks. They were old swim trunks. They fell down. I couldn't get them to stay on. You know, that's how much weight I've lost. With eating foods I would normally eat, no exercise, and I'm not taking any prescription medications like Ozempic or anything, okay? Give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. Their number, and make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel when you do call. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. All right, let's check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated in Boca, with the morning gold and precious metals report. William Youngerman, how are the metals looking today?
Metals looking good, Brian, after a nice update yesterday. Gold gaining $26.70 on Monday after trading in a range of 32.28 to 3,200. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong numbers. Yesterday, gold's closing out up $26.70. 32.28.40 on the close. Silver up 5 cents, closing at $32.31. Platinum gaining $11 at $999. and palladium was up $10 at $960 the ounce. Overnight, we saw gold trading in a range of $32.34 to $32.51, and right now we're at $3,247 on gold, up $18.60. Silver up 29 cents at $32.60. Platinum gaining nicely, another $21 up today at $1,020. That's the first time we've seen it over $1,000 in a while. Palladium up $20 at $980 the ounce. So metal's doing fine. They spent some time at those lower levels, at the lower end of our trading range, after a 10% correction on gold from its all-time record high of $3,500. And now we're pushing our way back up there, giving everybody a buying opportunity at the lower numbers, and it doesn't look like it's going to last very long. So
Yeah, and I imagine with, and by the way, I never worry about gold. I mean, it's been money for 5,000 years. I think it's going to be okay, William. You never have to worry about gold, right? But I imagine with everyone's talking about gold and silver and these great numbers we're at, that a lot of people that have never been in the metals are coming in. When somebody that's never bought any of the metals, they don't know anything about the metals, but they want to get involved, coming by your shop's a great place to start. How does it work for people that come in who don't know anything about the metals but have some money and want to buy some?
Most of the time they've done a little research, and there's certainly not a lot of mysteries out there. You can do an amazing amount of research on the precious metals. You just got to make sure you're looking at the right people, the right websites. But there's plenty of information out there, and of course we are always available to give free consultation on all of the precious metals. After 60 years of doing this, we feel that we have a pretty good grip of the best ways to buy it and sell it, and to go about accumulating. And so we've worked with clients for many years on just doing that. And
oh yeah.
Or give us a call. We'll be glad to talk with you. It's not near as scary or difficult as it sounds, and it's certainly the one of the best assets you can. You take delivery of your precious.
Absolutely.
And don't pay too high of a premium for anything.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, how long have you been in business, William Youngerman, again?
We're about 60 years.
Yeah, in the business you're in, to me, your word of mouth is very good, right? I mean, you've been in business that long, doing this kind of business, your reputation's good, people trust you, and you want to get honest, good information, and that's what you get from William Youngerman and his great team over there. He opens up at 10 a.m., stop in at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road, or give him a call toll free. And remember, no matter where you are in America or in the world, you can do your business over the phone and through the mail with William Youngerman. 1-800-327-5010. 1-800-327-5010. And find both his phone number and address on his website, williamyoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow. All right, take care. So anyway, everybody likes Scott Adams, even though he, stole my idea and got many millions of views. But he's a really super famous guy. But he made a really sad announcement, and he's very good friends with Gutfeld over on Fox. And this is pretty heartbreaking stuff. Let me just share this.
Some of you have already guessed, so this won't surprise you at all. But I have the same cancer that Joe Biden has. So I also have prostate cancer that has also spread to my bones. But I've had it longer than he's had it. Well, longer than he's admitted having it. So my life expectancy is maybe the summer. I expect to be checking out from this domain sometime this summer. Now,
oh boy, I mean that's I would not have it so together as he does if I had that. I haven't heard somebody do that since Michael Landon went on the Tonight Show with the stomach cancer. Remember that? I mean that's just sad to hear. And let's hope that a miracle happens. And if everyone could pray for Scott Adams, please do. I mean, he's a good guy. I mean, I'm making a little fun of him about that Jim Acosta thing. But he's a good guy, and he's a straight shooter and an honest guy. And I've never heard a negative thing about him other than what I said about the Jim Acosta thing. But that's just, that's just a sad thing to hear. I don't know if he's going to continue to do his show or not. I hope not. I mean, if I had a diagnosis like that, I would obviously tell you, but then I would spend the few weeks I have left with my family. I don't know if I'd be live streaming the whole thing, although that's a thing. People do that these days. There's been many a person who was dying that went and documented everything on YouTube or something. I wouldn't do that, but let's just pray for him and for Biden. We don't want anybody to die of the cancer. But, man, you know how scary that is to know it's coming, too. That's what's really scary to me, is that you know it's coming. Oh, boy. All right, 1-888-465-2631. I'm reluctant to go to the phones, but, you know, we're almost to the end. Why not? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Jack. All right.
Well, I think the problem with the callers that have been calling about their health care, Medicaid, Medicare, they're two separate things. $880 billion being cut. I think people need this to survive, and it really hurts.
Oh yeah, maybe if you make your voice sound a little sadder, people will believe. They're not cutting Medicaid from people like that last caller. Okay, there's a lot of people on Medicaid. There's a lot of fraud in the system. They're cutting out the fraud, which includes the illegals that are on it, and people that are able to work. They're adding a work requirement.
May I bring something up, Brian? And I respect you, and I do apologize for what happened earlier today. I think it was very wrong for what happened to you.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it.
That's never acceptable in any.
Oh, gee, yeah.
I think that you know, changing the subject slightly to the tornadoes in the Midwest and how the Trump administration has cut the National Weather Service. People are dying because of this.
Nonsense. Let me tell you, you're in Sarasota, Florida. I'm in South Florida. So you and I both live in Hurricane Alley, okay? We live in Hurricane Alley, and the National Weather Service and the National Hurricane Center is not where really anybody goes for their weather anymore. You know, there's a couple of things going on. How long have you lived in Florida?
All my life.
All your life. Okay, and in Sarasota, you get more hurricanes than we get in South Florida. I mean, South Florida is the southeast, okay? Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, that's the Keys. That's South Florida. He's in Sarasota, which is on the Gulf of America, which is the west coast of Florida. And you get... Yeah, you're on the west coast you're on the Gulf of America, and you get more hurricanes than we do here. When I'm following hurricanes, I follow the paths. I don't pay attention. Which model is the most accurate? Every Floridian knows this. Which model is the most accurate for hurricane predictions?
Well, in general, the European.
Yeah, European model. See, didn't I tell you? European model. So not the National Hurricane Center. The European model is from Europe, and the hurricanes hit on the dot where the European model says it's going to hit. Yes.
It's hard to have computer models compute where a tornado is going to go, and people are dying because
they're not shutting down the weather. They're cutting out the waste. Another thing I've noticed. I'm glad you admitted that. You didn't get triggered by Gulf of America. The European model is the one, and it's embarrassing. It should be from the National Hurricane Center in Miami, which is useless. You know, there's two tells, right? The European model and wherever Jim Cantori from the Weather Channel is. That's where the hurricane will always hit on a dime. The other thing is, in the last couple of hurricane seasons, there's a bunch of meteorologists who don't work for any network or television show. They have a studio at home like I have, and they do their own weather from home on YouTube and on X and stuff, and they're very accurate as well. They're
about hurricanes, Brian. I'm talking about tornadoes.
They do the same thing. They're storm trackers. I used hurricanes because we're in Florida.
Help the people who are helping those
of
a tornado are not there.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They're cutting out the waste in these systems.
Right. People are dying.
Oh, wait a minute. Somebody has died. Okay, hold on. Somebody's died because President Trump cut funding to the National Weather Center? Is that what you're telling? Who? Who and where? Who, what, where? Look at the... No, don't look. You told me that there's someone who's dead. They were killed by a tornado because of Trump, and you're telling me to look at it. You don't know? How could you accuse him of murder? And yeah, if he's responsible for the death, he murdered someone. You're very lucky, because I got to tell everyone about Dr. Appleton and his laser wave pain treatment, and we're short on time. But yeah, it's the European model, and he couldn't tell me a name of a person who's dead because of Trump cutting funding to the National Weather Center, which I don't even know if that's true. But, Dr. Appleton and his laser treatment, the first time he treated me for my knee was almost 3 years now. It's going to be 3 years in August that he treated me the first time for my knee pain. And 3 years later, I remember it was in August very clearly. The reason I remember it is because there was things going on that I remember. That's when the radio station got bought by the current company. They took over in July, and about a month later, I went over and met Dr. Appleton. So it'll be 3 years in August. He rid me of pain for the first time in my knee 3 years this coming August. And I'd suffered with pain in that knee since I was about 20 years old, and the pain has not returned. It's amazing. Give him a call. Now, when you take advantage of the no-charge consultation with Dr. Appleton, if you have x-rays or scans, bring them with you. Dr. Appleton will look at them for you. And remember, appointments are not necessary, and walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays. Give him a call and say bye-bye to your pain, too. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. All right, to those of you on hold, hang in there. We'll be back tomorrow at 6 a.m. We're out of time for today. My name's Brian Craig. This is The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. And some strange calls today, some very strange calls. I must tell you, some very strange calls. But tomorrow's another day, guys. Listen, thanks everyone for tuning in. Pray for Scott Adams, and pray, of course, for Joe Biden. That's a terrible way to go, what Scott Adams is going through, and he almost has a date stamp on it from what his doctors told him. Tough time. All right, God bless America. Pray for Scott Adams. Pray for Biden. See you tomorrow. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I got to clear out. I'll see you later. Now, if you're new, make sure you subscribe. Whoops.